Nothing?
I don't have any, I'm sorry.
There's no correspondence at this time. Ex officio member reports. Is there any report on behalf of the Island-wide Board of Governing Students at this time? Ms. Gutierrez?
Right now, there's no, I email all principals to submit the recommendation no later than August 31st. There's only one school that have submitted, and that's Ukudu. I don't know what's the rest, okay? So maybe the student representative is not that important to those principals. Thank you.
Are you saying you sent them a reminder to hold their elections for their schools?
I reminded them to email to submit, and I send the application form to recommend students that are interested. So far, only Ukudu have submitted.
Okay.
Mr. Fulo told me that there's two, but I cannot say yes until I see this application because they need to be reviewed by the former iBox and be recommended.
Okay. All right. Superintendent, please take note. We need the principals to conduct their survey among their students to meet this need so that our students are represented on the board. GFT report, Tim?
Thank you. All right, yeah, thanks. The report, as of the executive council meeting last night, we got the chance to talk with the school aides representative and the teachers representatives. They're reporting one-to-ones going in as 2 to 3s to 1 for uh, students with special needs. This is as all school aid are reporting long-term. I don't know what the definition of long-term is, but 1 or 2 months for military deployment covering classes instead of working in the safety and position that they were hired for. Also, teachers have reported due to the fact that there's shortage of one-to-ones, dangerous situations are occurring in the elementary class with violent outbursts and possibility of harm to other students because of the lack of one-to-ones. Also, the teacher shortage continues to be a big concern with our teachers and the fully safety of the schools. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Superintendent, any comments?
Yes, I know that the recruitment session that they had at one of our elementary schools, everyone that they had interviewed who had applied were all hired. Unfortunately, we don't have as many applicants for many of these positions, hence, of course, why we're still seeing vacancies in our schools. So what we have done, several things that we have done, working with the school principals, is that where there is no teacher currently being hired, is that the principals are working to have the teachers on their prep cover those classes, and we are paying them their current rate of their salary. In addition, all of the divisions have actually, the deputies have listed, identified individuals at the central office also that we're sending out to the schools. And if you walk through central office, you'll see that we have basically a skeleton crew because a lot of our staff have been sent out, social workers, SROs, and all those who were once considered coaches have all been sent back to the classrooms. Those who were classified as certified teachers are in the classroom. The bottom line is that we don't have enough applicants. What HR has done for in recruiting teachers and who we've been hiring is we hire first of all certified teachers. Next on the list, we hire certified retired teachers. Third on the list are the are the full-time, limited term full-time teachers. Then fourth in the list are the limited term part-time teachers. So we've exhausted basically all of the applicants that we currently have. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough applicants. And that goes, and it's not just for teachers, it is for the other positions as well at the schools.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
a parent call and listening the live stream. The volume is very low. They get those operating this mic get or the live stream get trained because the public are listening. They want to. They're interested in this meeting.
According to our PIO who's listening, he's saying that the volume
The
is
volume is
adequate.
very low, according to this parent.
It is at the maximum volume.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
I would like to make a response to Mr. Fedenko, report. Mr. Fedenko, one of the school texted me that they interviewed a teacher, but they're still waiting for the administrative paperwork. What is the timeline, Superintendent, from your office, at your office to sign this paperwork so the teacher can report to the school and not wait? The next one is, you talk about the 1218. There's a shortage, it's being announced also. I heard that they funded one position out of spec to go to HR to help with the process of all positions that are related to federal funding. So, how many hours is this funded by special ed funding, federal funding? Time do they spend processing all this position that's needed at the school site for special ed? Okay? All the CBA positions should have been prioritized. They funded another one out of CNI to HR. What is the delay? I understand HR needs to have maybe an extra office because it's all loaded up with employees. But where is this position that's supposed to be, that was special ed is supposed to be, is paying federal funding that are to handle those positions under special ed? And one of them is 1218. There's a disconnection here. The schools are not getting the positions that they need. Not enough teachers, they're in the cafeteria, or the school they have to go in and watch the kids. So they don't get to be in the outside to watch the students doing supervision. But that's the problem. And last year, all the resolution, any vacancies, school, that CBA position are to be filled first. Not down here. Let them multitask. Why? How long does it take for them to process an applicant? 3 months, sometimes the applicant gave up. An applicant for Head Start since March. I don't know if they ever picked up that applicant up. What, the excuse is, we need 5 applicants? No. Read the rules and regulation when it's critical positions. You don't have to wait for 5 on the list. We are failing our students, and I'm tired of it. Because you fill this position down here. People don't like to call me this Tisan Tower. And yet our schools, our teachers, our principals are stressing out because they don't have the position that they requested. Or next thing they're told, they're defunded. It's not funded. It's not funded. And yet, they sure find positions to fund down here at the school site. Tell me how many library technician has been hired. Principals should not be stressed out because they don't have the positions that they need at their schools at the opening on August 10th. Those people should have been brought in and trained. How many really went out to the schools? Then the next thing, they moved them to Title I. Title I, what's Title I? What do they do all day, the Title I? So this is the problem, Mr. Fedenko, that I get also calls. I get principal, you go to the protocol. They go to the protocol, but nobody listens. How long does it take for a signature on the PA? Mr. Difas, get your stuff. If they have to stand in front of the superintendent for her to sign that document, the PA, so then the applicants can go report to the school, then do it. But boy, when it's for downtown, the Malli gets hired, just like that. The pottery gets hired. Stop the nonsense. I've been here too long, and I know the shenanigans. I know the game. Our kids needs the support staff at the school. With all this bus delay, those support staff have to stay back only to find out that they were told they're not going to pay overtime. It's going to be flex time. When do they do flex time when they have to be at school? Monday to Friday, all through the school hours. When do they do the flex time? They couldn't even go out of the gate and smoke, because by the time they walk out, the 15 minutes break is gone. The kids are coming around. Here, the gossip lane over there, they get more than 15 minutes break. But the school, those poor employees at the school, they got to build their own hut outside or under the tree, tangan-tangan, so they can smoke, but they have to run in. And then they're not gonna be paid overtime, excuse me. These are the employees, they're the backbone of the school. And if none of you don't go, some of you said, I won't go to the school. It's operational. Well, too bad, because I go to the school. And I see the clean restroom. And I tell them, don't clean the restroom because I'm coming. For us for someone to post a day after the primary, a voter who went into the restroom at Wedding Gale and took a picture of the toilet, the sink being covered with trash bag. No toilet seat because it's on the floor. I can understand one administrator at a school, but if there's two administrators at the school, there's no excuse for that. If there was no primary election, Wedding Gale students will come on Monday, August 10th, and will find that. So that means like there's people saying, what did they do during the summer? Yes, what did they do during the summer? They have custodial services. Do they just sign that, okay, you did a good job, but they didn't flush the restroom? They didn't put toilet tissue for the students? So this is enough, colleagues. And you can call what you want me to call me. But I have seen it with my eyes because I go to the school. It's not operational. I'm elected to do my job, whether people like it or not. But this is too much already. Here what, are we waiting for another lawsuit that we're not providing the teachers and the needed positions at the school? When was the job fair? Why did it take so long? They're still recruiting? They're still recruiting? This is, superintendent, it's operational. Do your job, I'll do my job soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. Do you want to comment, Dr. Wonton?
Yes. As soon as HR has provided notice to the individual to be hired, that as soon as they send the form up, May Rose would immediately make sure that they are signed, and I do sign them on the very day that they have been brought up to my office, and it will be taken to HR. So there is no delay in my office in terms of signing to hire any of these individuals who are recommended. As for the AA who was temporarily assigned to help at HR, it was specifically to process any of the SPED application. That was some time ago, so the individual has returned. There is no new hire for that position. So there's no personnel specialist that was hired. It was an existing AA that was sent there. We are recruiting and will continue to recruit for the entire year as much as possible, just as they did for the last school year, to hire for all the vacant positions that we need in the school. And because we do not have all the positions filled, then we've taken measures as well to try to put our staff, central staff with degrees, or if they're certified, at the schools to assist. We've also sent our SROs, we've sent our social workers, we've sent basically, I would say maybe 75% of our central office staff to the schools to help out. Unfortunately, we don't have enough applicants out there, and this might be a good opportunity for everyone listening, that if you know of anyone interested in applying, to please reach out to them to apply at the Department of Education, because we have a lot of vacancies.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. Dr. Okada?
Hold on, Dr. Wonton. How many teachers certified here were promoted to school program consultant versus getting them first to the school until their teachers are recruited? There's a lot of school program consultants that were recently promoted from that intern, what is it, mentors, instructional coaches.
All instructional coaches were certified, were sent to the schools. There is a request due to working on school achievement for literacy and numeracy that we want to hire what we call, and some time ago, we only have currently the only one program specialist on board, and who will be retiring in September. But we're going to be in the process now, based on the leadership training that we have, to be able then to recruit, yes, individuals to help the schools with reading, math, science, and social studies. But we have not recruited yet any of those individuals, and none has been promoted to such a position.
Okay, Dr. Okada?
So, Superintendent Wampat, based on the 105 vacant positions for teachers that we started off the academic year yet, what is that updated number? That's one. And then the second one is, how many vacancies do we have for one-to-one aides currently?
The total number of vacancies that we have is 72. And that's for all of the schools, which would include like school aides, It actually includes everyone in the system, school aides, clerks, elementary principal, library tech, administrative aide. Those are all the ones for the school. There's a list of them. So there's 72. So the total given to us is that vacancies without an RTF rather, is 11, recruitment that's in progress, 18, and 40 recruitment completed or vacancies that were filled.
So just to clarify, the 72 includes, all vacant positions. How many of this 72 are actually teachers? And how many people from central office do you have assigned now to the school to fill those teacher positions? Or is that 72 net of the personnel already that have been assigned from central office?
So the teacher, okay, let me give you all of the numbers that we have here. Teacher vacancies as of August 14. And this is for both local and federal here. This is as of August 18. We have 90. Let me see. Yeah, we've got two different reports here. Jackie, do you have that number? Okay, I'm sorry. What I read to you was August 4th. So what I have here in the big sheet is August 18th. So then the numbers are for teacher vacancies as of August 14 is 90. Referral in progress or recommended pending acceptance by the applicants is 15. And then and I'm reading to you only what HR was able to provide to us. So at least from what I'm reading from HR is that it's showing 90 positions.
Teaching positions?
Well, yes, that they are.
Okay, it would be helpful if the HR can provide the breakdown as to how many actual vacancies there are. I mean, if there are some people filling the spots, we just want to know how many classrooms do not have any teachers. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent, may I make comment, colleagues? You know, I've been asking for this for months. I think it's very important for every single person on Guam who's an adult to know exactly what our vacancies are. I've been asking that newspaper announcements listing all of our vacancies, position by position, be made public and widely distributed. I've been asking that we distribute our vacancy list to the mayor's offices regularly. I've been asking to distribute our vacancy list to the government agencies regularly. I've been asking to distribute our vacancy list to our friends in the military commands throughout the island. All potential sources of teachers and expertise that we might be able to use in other positions where these folks may qualify. We need to let the public know what's available. What people tell me is they don't look at our website to see what's available. They they want hard copies of lists. They want to see them posted at the mayor's offices. They want to see government agencies have the lists. They want to see our military commands, especially the dependents, have the ability to see the list. There's a lot of people that are on Guam that don't know what we have. I don't care where they are. We want the whole island to know what we have, what's available. Check the information out, see if you may qualify, or what you may do to qualify. Uh, just putting it on our website is not sufficient. All island media should have an updated listing of all vacant positions at the Guam Department of Education on a regular basis. Now, this is important because this may create possible hirees, but we don't know unless we really have a massive distribution of announcements on our vacancies. Yes, this is going to create a lot more work for HR, but that's what we want. We want our HR people to be busy. And we want them to be able to meet the demands in the processing, but be able to justify if they need more people to process. See, there's doubts about whether or not HR needs more people to process the applicants, because we say we don't have many applicants. So let's get the word out. So I'm expecting that to happen immediately. I want widespread distribution of our vacancy lists throughout the island, beginning tomorrow. Not next week, not next month, but tomorrow. And I can't require it, I can only request it of the department. But that is something that should be standard in any organization. Really, and I don't understand why I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. And I look when I go out, I look for these kind of announcements, right? So I think we can help ourselves really by just doing simple things and getting the word out. And yes, we may have to pay the media if necessary to print the list, buy a whole page ad in the 2 island digital newspapers if we need to, and have other entities, even the broadcast companies can broadcast the announcement about there's plenty vacancies at DOE. Please come and check. You know, let's do it right away. It's very, very important.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
what you're requesting for is really very reasonable, makes a lot of sense. And based on this report that I've received from HR, would actually then break it down really by the different level, elementary, middle, and high school, and specifically by subject area or content area, which I think would be excellent for us, like you say, to put in the newspaper. I just want everyone as well to know that what we have captured for this past school year is that we had 83 separations. 35 were retirement, 16 were relocating off island, 13 for personal reasons, 5 non-given, 5 accepted employment elsewhere, 6 were separation due to death, 2 joined the military, 1 medical health reason, and then in addition, what really affects our school tremendously are teachers on leave of absence as follows. Military leave of absence, we have 10 individuals. Long-term maternity or medical leave, 2. Long-term disability, 4. And other reasons, again, there are 6 individuals, so we have 22 long-term vacancies as well, aside from those that we can't recruit to cover the classes.
Yeah. Yes, then we'll go to you, Pete. Yeah, please, Dr. Okada.
So I'll just bring this up because this has been brought up in years past. This is, this information we're asking for is something that should be contained in the dashboard. The dashboard that we have been talking about the funding that has been provided through GOSDEV, the SLDS, the State Longitudinal Data System, that grant still exists and has been, I want to say, for the past 6 to 8 years. So the dashboard needs to be completed so that at any moment, when you look at the live data in HR, you should be able to tell how many positions are vacant as of today's live data off the dashboard. And that can become, and we won't be asking all of these questions if 6 years later that dashboard was completed. So please go back to RP&E and get them to complete the dashboard that was requested more than 5, I want to say 6 years ago. That will help alleviate all of these questions just by having the work that that grant was intended to require and provide to the board, you know, have it completed, because the grant, according to the financial statement, is still sitting here, and we just need to see that dashboard completed. We went through iterations of the contract went out and it got canceled, somebody bought the company and they couldn't transfer the contract. We just need that to be completed so that we can have the information that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Okada. Yes.
Maybe I have HR now. They just walked in, so maybe Ms. Ada and Ms. Deemer might be able to answer some questions. But you want to ask yours first, so that then.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad that you reported some of those vacancies that I was inquiring, such as military leave, long extended medical leave, and there was one more. Thank you, Ms. Cat, for providing that information. The question now goes right back to those same positions. Those positions that we know as long-term military, yeah, maybe those two. I might be missing a few. When the school started on August 1st, did that classroom where that long-term or military leave have a teacher in it? You already knew, or we already, not you, we already knew that there is a vacancy in that particular classroom. The question then comes back, did we hire anybody for that position? And if not, I am assuming that someone is sitting in babysitting. Miss Kat, would you like to answer that?
Yes. Any other question? Can you hear me? I think, first of all, I'm just shocked at the reaction towards HR, because my team has been working tirelessly to fill these vacancies. These processes are not ours alone. There are the merit system principles we're following. And the report that we provided, particularly for TEACH, shows you, even though we've recruited this many employees, the reality is we have 83 movements that left us, that were not planned and that were not scheduled. So we're moving these as they go along with limited staffing, but we also do have a process. It's very quick. The superintendent to HR is very fast, but part of it is to review the budgets, there's compliance. So those are steps that we're trying to tighten. They're not tightened, and it seems like, I think the frustrating part for us is we are limited resources. I hear comments about us working on the clock. We're working weekends and late hours to meet the demand. And so I think a little bit of credit needs to go to my team, first of all. Secondly, we are doing our best. And I don't think, as much as possible, our goal is to fill and to work diligently and quickly. The things we automated system is not where it should be, and I agree, our reporting system should be better so you'll have a clearer view. But quite honestly, also, the data capture into the Munis system, even if we've had all these recruitment, I can't just run a report because they're still not yet in the system. They will be processed in by the end of this week. So after the PA is generated and done, before we can call them to have them come in and process in, They also have to pass through their administrative clearances. So usually they have to first submit their police and court clearances, and then it's sent up, and we have Margaret reviewing their background checks as well as organizing the drug tests.
Right.
Until we get that cleared, we can't proceed.
That's true.
We had a hold up this last few weeks, or no, this last week, because there was something that happened with the data. So she was not able to retrieve. We have Mark that's handling that for us. She's working as quickly as she can as well. So on all different angles, we're trying to shorten and crosscut. And there's many times where I myself or Deemer or my staff are running up the PAs because we know how urgent that is. So I hear you about announcing everywhere. We will. For sure, we'll take any kind of suggestions. Even if you call me and say, this person wants a job, bring them over, we'll figure it out. But remember also, the decision doesn't stay at HR. We can refer them to the principals. They go with their schedule. They have to make the selection. So this is the process that we need to go through. Yeah. So again, I guess I'm shocked because after the kind of weeks that we've had with my team, and people have life, right? They get sick, or so we have limited staff sometimes, but I think the administrators can attest that we're doing the best we can. We also can't control when people are applying at other positions because it's for promotional. So what's happening is, and I think this before, they want to do a school aid too, so they get the promotion, and then this one has another vacancy, so they want to go here. Some of them are our staff in between. They're people that are aware of this process. This process, we cannot shorten the time. It's not in our control. So I am looking into, with my supervisors, to reviewing how we can make this better, how we can make this quicker. But coming up to this process, again, as I said at last week's meeting, I'm very proud of the progress we had. There was a delay because, remember, there was a typhoon. We also had a delay because of our server with our building. We asked to work at the school. We did the interviews from there, and we did what we could, even without the network. So, I mean, first and foremost, we're also employees at GDOE, and we're doing the best we can. So I will take all the advice and the specific question reports. We will prepare for you in detail. There is no money that was hired. I don't believe in that. We have a system that we must follow. So you can send the auditors to come in and look because we have nothing to hide. It's just demoralizing when I'm pushing my team to do what we need to do. And we're proud of the efforts we're doing, and to hear, being accused of between monies and not doing the best we can, but we are. I can assure you that. And I don't know if you want to look at videos to see whose car is here the first and the last, to confirm to you that your HR team is dedicated to our network, and we're doing the best we can.
Ms. Ada, suggestion. I'm
Okay.
always a believer. If you have something bad to say, you better have a solution. So you were talking about people coming in and applying, and they may be missing a police clearance or a court clearance. Now let me read. And we all know, we've all gone through that. It costs money.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's a suggestion. If they already kind of met all the requirements, give them a call right away and say, you are making the list. Now we need you to go give them 2 days, 3 days at the most, to get all those documents into your office. But for these employees to get that upon submission of an application, it's very difficult. We need to put ourselves in their shoe. So give it a thought. You didn't answer my question yet, or you were leading into it. Those positions that were vacated,
I got your question.
were absent at the end of the school
Yes.
year, not filled
Yes.
because they're on military leave or long-term leave.
Yeah, I can answer.
At the opening of the school year,
Yeah.
was that classroom filled with I'm going to use the word qualified. I would rather use that.
Okay.
Is it filled by a qualified teacher
So in HR, when we hire, the vacancies we have, there are other responsibilities within the network. So that would be a question for the school principals, and I trust that they would do their due diligence, whether it's having teacher prep assigned to that, because they are aware. They're the ones that communicate to us. So we work closely with them, and I would trust and assume that they're gonna do their best to make sure it's covered as much as possible. I know that there is a shortage, and we're exhausting different efforts to try to cover as much as possible with a qualified, but to answer specifically, you would have to ask the principal for that specific school that you're questioning.
Okay.
HR doesn't control the schedule.
You've heard me say this many, many, many times. Have you ever thought about allowing, this is kind of so-called site-based management as far as HR is concerned? Let the principals get the application for whoever they want to pick up, and they themselves bring it down to your office, because you know that this principal wants this particular teacher, and they made every effort to try to get it. The problem is sometimes, not often, sometimes they were referred to a particular, they are sent to another school other than the one that really wanted them.
Or sometimes, when they have the selection, they would prefer another school when they know there's a vacancy. This has happened. But yes, of course, we would welcome that. And the principals are aware of that. At the same time, because there is a shortage, we would prefer if they have somebody that's qualified, can proceed quickly, we will. But yes, even if they are referred to them and there's a vacancy, there have been times, and I experienced this just 2 weeks ago, where a particular principal had requested that this person be reviewed, but the person, when we contacted them for the interview, was interested in another school.
Okay, I don't want to dwell too long, but can you please work on that issue about having the applicant get the police and clearance once they've already been informed that they did qualify, and
We do,
and do it, because they
it's
don't
part
want
of our
to go. They
process.
don't want to go get the papers from the court, because I think the court costs $15.
The minute that
Police, I mean, it's financially hard, very hard.
the minute that the superintendent brings down to our office, which is very quickly, we email the offer, and in that offer, we have a list of what they must
Not all
provide.
people, Ms. Ada, not all people have computers. Not all people have
Well,
cell phones.
it's called
okay?
as well.
One to one, one to one. I want to talk to you, you know? I don't want to talk to your wife. I want to talk to you,
Okay.
okay? I mean, I'm trying to help you. I'm not going to chastise you. Please don't get me wrong. I'm here to help you of what we think would be we were trying to make your work a little bit easier, not difficult. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Couple things. I appreciate the work of HR. Now, we know September's coming, and usually that's a retirement month, right?
It's already happening.
So we're going to be anticipating more people retiring.
Yes.
And likelihood is many of them will be teachers, right? So there's a lot of pressure on the department now to recruit teachers, more teachers.
Yes.
Do you need a budget to be able to do the announcements I was suggesting with the media? Like, let's say the two island digital newspapers, to put a full page ad.
Yes. We
Would you
currently
need a
don't have
budget for that?
We will need a budget
All
for
right,
that.
so superintendent, is there a way we can help them so that they have a little funding to pay for that, those announcements, please?
Yes,
Can you
we
assist?
actually did this for this particular fiscal year, just to give you an example, where we needed additional monies, like to advertise for board meetings. And because you've exhausted your budget for advertisement at the time when you were having 2 meetings a month, what we did is that we identified more money to put in then for more advertisement. So you would have to do is to make that request and we would provide the funding for
That was
it.
our only obstacle.
Okay, so
That can happen.
the superintendent's willing to assist you so you have those funds. Uh, Another idea is, I was just thinking, if we can identify a small area, maybe adjacent to HR, where people can do all their applications right here. They don't have to leave the department. You have computers set up, or they can fill out a form by hand and do as much as the process requires right here,
Okay.
so that the only thing they have to do is go get the police clearance. I think it's $15 at the Superior Court, the court clearance. The federal court is $32.50. That's the latest rate they had. And the Guam Police Department, I think, is $12 for police clearance. But so those things take a little time to get. But and the drug tests they have to do, of course, and whatever the requirements are. But as many of the requirements they can fulfill right here on site by having access to computers or the table with the forms and someone to assist them if necessary, so they fill them out properly. If we can expedite that and have that service, that could help us, I think. That could help us. People might feel intimidated coming in, maybe applying for a position. You get a little nervous, and sometimes you need that little assistance to feel more comfortable. And if we can do that for the public, for those interested in considering applying, then we should do that. And we do have the space. There's plenty of space here we can set aside for that purpose. The other thing I wanted to say is I want to recognize HR. They hired a lot of people this summer for our school system. And that took a lot of time and effort. So it is appreciated.
Thank you.
On the other issues, I think the superintendent clarified that you're not hiring more staff. And I would not object to hiring more staff if the demand was there, that you needed more people to process the applications faster. I don't object to that because that shows us that there's interest in people wanting to work here. But I would suggest that we get the word out right away, and we use a little bit of funds if we can find it to help pay for these advertising costs, so people know what's available, and it's easy to find out. In addition, I'd like to see those things posted around the government of Guam, posted at the mayor's offices, shared with the military community, as many potential hirees that we can locate wherever they are who qualify for our positions. I'd like to encourage them to apply, and getting the word out is very important. So thank you for the HR people. We all have different perspectives. We're all interpreting what's been going on, and it's not easy on your side. It's not easy on our side either, or the side of the department, but we're trying to achieve the same thing, to do best we can for our school system. Sometimes it's harder than other times. This is one of the hardest times.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question for the superintendent. This is why I was asking that the documents are always updated for every board meeting. The documents we were given last meeting when you were not on island shows that Machanana Elementary needs 2 fifth grade teacher. No, the principal said no. She need a kinder. So this listing that we were given, where's the update to minus those positions, those schools that have received? For example, Jem Guerrero, remaining vacancies. This is what we received last week. That's the last meeting. They needed 5. How many they filled? DL Paris need 5. How many was filled at DL Paris? FB Leon Guerrero, 10. Jose Rios, 10. In Lahan Middle, 8. Antalan, 5. Is this up to date? It's not current, right? It is not current. So
No.
we need, superintendent, for you to give us the updated every meeting so that we don't have to keep looking at that, because to me, right now, if this is what, we have no update from you. You
Okay.
guys have to communicate. And
Okay.
don't blame the
This-
principal now.
This changes every day. We're on the phone, a principal may have something that comes up, so it's going to be different. And the principal can have an authority as well if they're going to reassign, because either they're dually certified or they need them more in this. So these are different processes we can't track. I mean, I don't want to, if you want, tell me what kind of report. I don't want to spend your whole meeting just on this topic to prove to you that HR is working. So if you want the detail, we can give you the detail. I don't know what for. At the end of the day, if you want specific mention now, that's the type of report you want, then we will prepare it before the next time. But I don't want to engage in a debate about every single school. There's movements that happen every day in our office. It's not our call. It's a situation that happens with a principal. It could be a principal dealing with an employee that has an adverse action for whatever reason, so they need to make changes. These are operational things that happen every day. So the report, that's an old report. By tomorrow, I'll have a new report. It's harder to catch, so we're trying to track these. And I don't think you guys realize we're dealing with hundreds of people. We're not a small operation. We are servicing 3,300 employees. So not only are we recruiting, we have benefits, we have other complaints that are coming in. If you want a tracking analysis per day, we'll see how we're going to do that, but then you're taking our time from dealing with employees and applicants. So let us know what you want, and we'll prepare whatever report will satisfy you to know that we're not making numbers up. It happened at the time. This is what we're going to do now. But I mean, you don't want me spending a whole day to do reports where I could be spending it assisting in other areas such as recruitment or helping them identify what is this next step we can take for these actions.
So superintendent, this is your responsibility as executive secretary of the Guam Education Board. You and your deputies start providing us updated documents. This is not the job of the board to ask you. You provide us update for board meeting. I see you put documents here. I'm not satisfied with that. I'm not satisfied. There should have been an update for today's meeting from the last special meeting of the positions at the schools. Because the way, when I look at this, I didn't see any minus. Dr. Okada asked of the 105, how many have been filled? This is your job. Don't let the board ask you. Because for me, I don't waste my time. I read every document I'm given.
Okay,
Read every document. Then, yes, Madam Chair, all the positions will be listed. I want to know if all the library technician vacancies at the schools are filled, because there's no library technician that has been announced. And I know the schools don't all have library technician and they're still waiting, and it's a CBA position. Thank you.
Mrs. Gutierrez, I want you to know that yesterday, the form was sent up to my office for the 5 schools who have selected individuals and ranked them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I signed for every single applicant. Should one applicant refuse, my signature is there for them to hire the second applicant. So all those were sent down yesterday for all of the library technicians.
thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. Your request is duly noted.
Okay, can I
Yes.
ask a question since
Tim.
they left already? All I did was report that there are vacancies, okay? We know that. That happens every year. It's been that way ever since I've been here. Do principals ever refuse a position, or do they always take it? Like, do some, I don't want that that double dipper or whatever, or is there a rule that they have to fill that position from you, or the superintendent can force them, no, you're taking it, it's a vacant spot, and this is the way it is?
So
Does that happen?
There's two different situations I will share with you. Like yesterday, the principals, all the principals who have vacancies for a library technician, they have listed, ranked every one of the applicants that they interviewed. And some of them, there were only two, others have five. Some of the names are a repeat because they were also interviewed by other principals. So the principals have indicated by numerically listing who would be their first, second, or third choice. So that, like I said yesterday, I've signed off of every single one of them. The other scenario is where an employee will request for a transfer to another school. The principal would normally, yes, they would sign off approving it, but then we would need the approval of the incoming principal. Now, sometimes one or the other would say, no, I do not want this person to be transferred, or the other would say, I do not want this, individual. And that is something that I have gone back to them to say, please make sure that we get the outgoing and incoming principals to sign off for me to authorize and approve the transfer.
In a sense, they could be purposely violating the contract by not accepting or releasing an employee.
In that case, if you're going to say one or the other, then you're right, it would be. But what I'm saying is that I want the school principals to, both of them, to agree. I don't want to send somebody that might end up, I don't know for whatever the reasons are, but I always want to grant the request when they transfer. But I'm not the only one making that decision. It's normally the incoming principals accepting.
Okay, I get it, you're trying to peacemake it and make everybody happy. But if the employee wants to transfer into that school, then that employee is therefore happy because that's what they requested. And because we're short employees, I would think the benefit should go to the employee and learn to work together.
And normally and soon right after that, then there is that conversation to make sure. And then thereafter, I've always seen that the transfer have gone through. May I add one more thing? Because and I heard this complaint that if there are individuals who are applying, that normally Mrs. G had mentioned that they would not, start to interview until they have so many 5 individuals. And we've relayed that concern to make sure then that if there are only 2 applicants, we will proceed with that applicant, or if we only have 1 applicant, that we will proceed with it as well. If there's none, then HR will continue to have a continuous advertisement for a vacancy.
Madam Chair. I need to read this text out from a teacher. This is an elementary teacher. They keep saying, using teacher prep to cover classes with no teacher, but what about the elementary level? We don't have that. We are short all over from one-to-one, school aid to teachers. That's coming from a teacher, elementary.
Yeah, so her process, right, and I commend you for allowing teachers to teach on their prep period. And I believe at the last meeting, I reiterated this with the board as well, that to please give elementary a more of a propriety for that because of the fact that they can't, it's impossible to do that, right? To teach on your prep period in elementary ed. So maybe the middle schools and high schools can cover this shortage a little bit easier with their principals and the teachers, but in elementary, it just doesn't work. So I was gonna ask before this, if there was a high priority for elementary ed.
And you are correct, because middle and high school teachers do have preps, and you're right, unfortunately, that's not the case with the elementary teachers.
Yeah.
But what Ms. Jackie has been doing and working with the school principals when we had a meeting before school opened we asked the principals themselves is to set up like a listing of who first will they hire, I mean, place in the classrooms. So they've made a list, and some of the principals are different. Some of them said that they themselves will step in, or an assistant will step in, or other individuals that they have that would also step in. And in addition, this is where we then came uh, making the decision that we would send more of our people out to the schools to assist as well. Because we did that. I remember last year when Mr. Wilowski called me and said, I have 8 teachers out and 7 staff members out, that I immediately went to CNI, counted 8 individuals and sent them out to the schools to cover. So that's how we are trying to alleviate, the shortages that we have in the schools. Mr.
Thank you.
Well, he wanted to say something.
Franklin, yes,
Yeah, I would just like to make a few comments. Um, First of all, when I was acting superintendent, Mr. Fidenko, I got a request to transfer somebody, like you said, somebody wants to go from one school to another, that we should encourage that, and I agree with you. However, I felt I should check with the principals before I signed it. It came to me as acting superintendent, signed it, I called the principals. The losing principal was against it, and the gaining principal was against it. The only person who was for it was the person who was asking. So what was I to do as superintendent? Sign that piece of paper? I did not sign that piece of paper. Both principals were against it. We need to reconvene and talk this out. So sometimes things are not as cookie cutter as we make them seem. I wanted to talk a little bit about HR. They came here because I asked them to come here, and that was tough for me. Our HR office has approximately 13 people working. There's 5,000 personnel actions a month. 5,000 personnel actions a month. The recognized average for personnel staff to work per number of employees that they're servicing is 1 personnel staff per 100. GDOE has 1 personnel staff per 300. We are 3 times the workload that normal personnel offices have. Are they working? They're working very hard. Is everything perfect? We're not exactly perfect. I'll tell you, they are working their fingers to the bone, and everything I can do to encourage it. We have other problems that are across the system. For example, we have an individual who's on over 1 year workman's comp. 1 year's workman's comp, we can't fill that position. We're shorthanded. Actually, they had a lot of experience. They had a lot of knowledge. They're just not, for whatever reason, able to come to work. So we talked about that. Mr. Adder talked about that. How many people are on long-term disability? How many are on military? It's impacting us all across the board. So I just wanted to say that HR should be commended for the workload they're producing for the staff that they have on hand. And if we followed the federal regulations for staffing, we would double or triple the staffing that we have now. So thank you.
thank you, Mr. Leon Guerrero. We appreciate
Mr.
it.
Leon Guerrero, you addressed me, so I'll respond. Yeah, your leadership is your leadership, and the way you do things, that's up to you. You're the one in charge, right? But to admit that you refuse to fulfill a contract obligation would be, I mean, like, let's say we challenge that, right? We grieve that process, or it was going to the court. You agreed not to fill a position that this board has said is #1 priority, whether that principal likes it or not. And I understand that may be your style of leadership, but to me, principals don't have that much power, and they shouldn't have that much power. If there's a vacancy that has to be filled contractually or through an IEP, it is your guys' job to say, I'm sorry, you will take this position. Yes, the losing principal doesn't want to lose a position and transfers, I agree, because now then they are in violation of the contract. So if the principal says, no, I'm not going to release them, that I could see. But if a principal has a position and they have to fill that position and they refuse to do it, whether they like the person or not, to me is a very dangerous position, opening yourselves up for lawsuits. That's just my opinion. Carry on as your leader. You're the leader. But
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to continue unless there's a question, Angel.
We still have the mayor's council report.
Okay.
No, I'll make a motion after their report.
Okay, all right. So the next item is the report of our mayor's council.
Yes, thank you guys. Good afternoon. So just based off of our last meeting last month, I had brought it to the attention of Mayor Alec that we still would like to have a meeting with you, Madam Superintendent. And according to him, he had sent out an email back in July, and wherever that miscommunication came in, we're here now. So hopefully, you two can get connected again, and hopefully we can establish and strengthen that communication between GDOE and the Mayor's Council. Also, being that this is the way we're going to be moving forward, right? As far as different integration practices within GDOE, closures of schools, anything of those. In that kind of discussion, if it involves our communities, parents and the students in our villages, we would like to strengthen that communication between the Mayor's Council and GDOE. So that's one thing that I just wanted to bring up this afternoon. Another one has been brought to my attention by Mayor BJ about some school break-ins that have been happening, right? So to be specific, like Finagayan Elementary School, MU Lujan Elementary School, right? So maybe we can talk about current preventative measures that can take place to prevent any of these break-ins to occur throughout the rest of the school year and moving forward, and to see if there's any immediate remediation steps. So in the event that these schools do get broken into, what's the stance that GDOE takes, and how do we move forward, and how do we assure that it's not going to happen again, per se, right? I guess to address the needs of multiple schools, and if they can come out to you guys and talk about what we can do to prevent that moving forward. It's another issue that I wanted to bring up, and hopefully Mayor BJ can fill in on that as well. And lastly, and for this one, I can probably wait until the superintendent's report, right? But I think the issue under the microscope right now is, of course, the issue with Tizan High School and Simon Sanchez and the closure, and what steps are being made to reopen the school. And yeah, and I'll wait for your report so that maybe we can further discuss that. And yeah, so we all know here that that's a big topic right now, and it's one of those things too where after this meeting we go home, and us as the mayor's office, I was speaking on behalf of myself and of course for the GIGO mayor's office, it's something that we do have to tend to. We luckily some of the students have direct lines of communications with myself, and students are expressing themselves to me, parents are expressing themselves to myself and Mayor Lozama. And it doesn't stop there. Because of the closure of Tizan High School, and prior to all of this, we then have to, I don't want to say bear the burden, because at the end of the day, I understand that GDOE has their operations, the Mayor's Council of Guam has their own operations, but because of the closure of our school, we end up having to take that burden, right? It's not a burden, maybe there's a better word for it, but our facilities are hosting the meal to go programs, right? Tomorrow, our facility again at the Jigo Gym, we're hosting Simon Sanchez to give out the hard copy packets for our students and stuff like that. So I'm very blessed that Mayor Talahi asked me to be on this board, because we need that kind of representation, right? And yeah, whatever support that GDOE can have to help us with. Yeah, another example too, because of the closure of Tizan High School, we've been reached out to by the Simon Sanchez football team coach, right, to utilize again our facility. We don't have a football field, but their kids need to practice football, right? So one of the solutions they brought up was, can we utilize the softball field? Softball field and football field is not the same thing, right? But in the event that those things continue to happen, could we bank on GDOE for to assist us with stuff like that? Okay, so the mayor's offices are not responsible to go and cut the grass at the schools, although we do, right? But in the event of situations like this, can we ask GDOE to come and help us if the turf is dug up and whatnot, to have some sort of maintenance or grounds maintenance on our facilities, since we are taking in the struggle, right, of having to accommodate these schools that have been shut down. So those are just some of the things that I wanted to bring up, and you know, again, hopefully, to speed up this process, right, we can go over to the superintendent's report where we, as I'm seeing here on the on the agenda here, that we will be talking about FBLG and Simone Sanchez. So, yeah, those are just my points that I wanted to bring up, and yeah, please feel free to provide comment and whatnot, and I will do the same. Thank you, Mrs. Masi.
Yes, most definitely. I've actually had, when I met with the last mayors who were here, is that I told them that I most definitely want to work and speak to the mayors, and they said they were going to make the arrangements. Since then, of course, I have not been contacted, but I will reach out then to Mayor Alec to be able to schedule that. As far as Finn and Emil Lahan, is that we were requested, our guys were requested to go to clear some of the areas in the back. And then the other is that we would schedule in our spend plan to get solar lights and cameras for Finn and MU Lohan. And MU Lohan principal also had a suggestion in which GPD has offered and asked if one of their classrooms can be used like a Koban, so to speak, who be able to provide, security, and we agreed with that. Now, when, of course, we have to work on the principal identifying the classroom for that. In terms of providing our maintenance guys to provide assistance for your sports, your facilities that are being used, normally our guys, that's why we contracted out. All grounds maintenance really is contracted out. It's not our guys who actually would do that. That is something that we have to look at, whether is it something that maybe we need to contract out, I don't know yet. So we're going to have some discussions on that. Okay, but that's, and yes, of course, we'll talk later about Simon Sanchez and Tijan.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I like that idea about possibly GPD using a classroom for a Koban. That's a pretty good idea. However, Mr. Blas, who happens to be my nephew also, Mr. Blas, I'm not going to call you Pedro because it's improper. Pedro, Gloria Nelson many years ago did a project and everybody thought she was out of her mind when she had a family go into a school that had a vacant room and the family lived there. And I'm just wondering, because was it Matanano that had that break-in? Was it? Mr. Gutierrez?
Finnegan, but they had a room for the GPD. They caught the 4 people. GPD never came back. They hit it again.
Okay. So did you say what school? Finnegan. I'm just wondering if Finnegan does have 2 options here comes to mind now. GPD and a family. There are some people who are just scrounging for a place to stay. And if we can provide them with conditions of what they are responsible for while the duration of their stay, I think they'll take it. And during the time of Gloria Nelson, it was a very successful program. Okay, so give it a thought, Mr. Superintendent. Give it a thought and see how it is. I don't know what, things have changed over the years.
Mr. Ada, that actually is in discussion. The biggest hurdle for us now to really figure out is the liability.
Yeah.
And we're having legal counsel, then to address that. But that actually happened. I remember the first time I taught here in Guam at Alcada Johnson that we had a family live on campus in one of the temporary buildings, and they would then, scout the areas during the evening, And then when school is on, they'll be either off campus or in their quarters. But that is definitely something, I brought that up actually also last year with the lieutenant governor and several other people. They liked the idea as well. They're also suggesting the possibility that we consider even veterans themselves, that, you know, who are needing a place and might be willing to provide, you know, that type of exchange of monitoring the schools and living in on campus, you know, for free. But there are other things that have to be considered, because if it's a live-in, then that means we must have all the facilities of basically an apartment. So that means, unfortunately, when we were talking about that, it may not be as difficult for middle and high schools, because they do have restrooms, they have and showers. But in the elementary schools, there only may be restrooms in the classroom, but not necessarily showers. And then there's the cooking part of that. So all those, you know, are being considered. We still need to do a lot more research, but definitely that is a big deterrent, you know, for any break-ins in our schools.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ada, for that response too, and Dr. Wampat. I agree that that is a good idea, and this is what, you know, I'm very happy to hear right now is the discussion happening. You know, and I'll admit, before I even thought of running the vice mayor of Jigo, this was a discussion that I've heard as well, right? How do we deter school break-ins? You know, right here on my list, I got Finnegots and I got Emmy Lujan, but the au pairs in Jigo has been broken into as well. Simon Sanchez broken into numerous times before the school shut down. So the idea of, you know, housing a family within a campus, that's a good idea. But at the same token, right? You guys would know better than me how many public schools are on island, and I think before we get into the business of housing the homeless, right, to prevent security measures or, you know, stuff like that, maybe there's other things that we can look into as well, as far as school security, or even I guess cameras and stuff like, I don't know. And either way, I do appreciate the discussion, and hopefully these things can be looked at moving forward, right? And for all of our schools, not just the select few. Yes, sus mas.
Very good. Thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Okada.
So, Vice Mayor, Ms. Blas, I think we need to take a look at the inventory that we have, because I think about a year ago, we bought all these riding mowers and bush cutters. So we should take a look to see what we have and if it can be utilized, because if our contracts are out for the schools, then perhaps you can loan it to the mayor's offices that may need the assistance, because they're providing some accommodation for the schools that are temporarily closed. So take a look at that, because I know we spent money on bush cutters and riding mowers.
I'd like to also say that some of our principals, yes, were really very innovative and creative. And some of them would like to retain some of the monies that we normally would contract out to private companies. And one in particular, not necessarily grounds in this particular case, but custodial services, where we have a couple of schools that decided that rather than go out and pay somebody to come in and do this, they decided to take it on themselves. And the monies that we would normally contract out would actually go to the school for them to decide what to do with their faculty and staff. And there are many different ways, of course, of doing this. At one time, you were still probably a child, but I had introduced this legislation at the time when I was at DOE. I saw all the dollar amounts that we would contract out someone to come and do grounds maintenance. And what we did is that we took that dollar amount that was broken by the school, we put it by legislation, we spoke to the mayors, and they said they would rather than take it, so we would give them the money. Unfortunately, they decided to no longer do it because they said it wasn't not profitable, but it wasn't enough. But it was because the mayors didn't go to say every year on a budget time to ask to increase that dollar amount, so they've chosen to no longer do it. But the plan was similar to that, is that whatever equipment we had went out to the mayors. The monies that they were going to receive from the government was to pay for the gas and buy additional equipment if they need. and they can contract it out. As a matter of fact, I talked to Mayor Melissa Savares, because what she did is she found families and little businesses in her community
Yes.
that wanted to do this, and she would give them the contract to maintain the schools. And that's something we can revisit again and maybe talk to the mayors, and we can share with you exactly what we pay these companies for each one of our schools, to give you an idea. And maybe we could come up with something more creative again, to assist our schools.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that Mayor Melissa Savares had considered that one time. Mr. Bloss, or Mayor Bloss, you know darn well up in Jigo that you have a number of families that are doing bush cutting work on the sideline, And I've said this many, many times in this setting. Offer it to these people to take each. Don't take 5 schools at one time. That's gonna be too hard for them. Let them take one school at each. They'll take care of that because they know the money is coming and it's good. And it's many times it's the school in which their children attend. So I hope you don't close that door, Madam Superintendent, because this is an opportunity. We have had contracts and it's been a fiasco. They're not getting paid because they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But in the village level, a staff of the community, you tell them exactly where it is. Trust me, they'll do it because they don't want to lose that contract. Okay, so give it a thought. Thank you.
Thank you, and yes, I understand that, and I guess the point of that discussion though was, and we'll get into it with the superintendent's report, but it all relates to the closing of Simon Sanchez High School, right? And what we have not been instructed to do, but rather committed to doing for our community as far as assisting them with the needs of our children in the village of Jigo, right? So at the same token, I don't believe the mayor's sentiment is give us money and we'll take care of the school properties, right? That's not what we're bringing up here, but more so, in the event that we do need the assistance for things that result in the closure of a GDOE school, if we can get that same kind of assistance from GDOE.
Mr. Bloss,
Yes, sir.
I went to FB Leonguera on the first day at about 8:45 that morning. Man, I tell you, if there was anything that you can say perfect in operation, that was it. However, I was very disappointed with the lawn, the lawn at the school. The principal said to me, "It's not scheduled until August 23rd." They should have done that before school even opened. And by the way, Mr. Sablan, FB Leandra was the only school that I went to that had a security in the front of the school. However, the only sad thing is the poor guy was watching, sitting on his pickup on the track, the back of his pickup to see who was out. And this guy said, "Sir, may I help you? Where are you heading to? What for?" And I like that. That was good. And I think he wrote my name down. So I just thought, give credit where credit is due. And I'm also sure, very sure, that Southern High School is doing the same thing. Because I've gone there many times, and they do have security guards.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I know.
We're losing our focus, talking about the mayor cutting the grass. There is a existing contract, and if you recall, because I recall, when Mayor Terlahi brought this issue up. And I said it, yes, there is a contract. The mayor, but there are still principals, especially in Dedido, that will call Mayor Benavente to cut the grass. Right after our meeting the next day, I received a text from Mayor Benavente that League One Elementary, who is a lease school, they want the mayor to send his staff there to cut the grass. We have an existing contract. And let me tell you about this contract, and I guess this is where you, superintendent, and whoever is the deputies involved in this, that I was at James Guerrero at one school year, and the principal called up this grass cutting company. Yeah, the guys came. 3 guys came. Oh, we forgot, what is that? The string. Okay, we'll be back. They didn't come back after 3 days. So, the mayors, and I told the mayors, and Mayor Lizama is here, when they call your office, any school that you come and cut the grass, don't do it, because we are paying these vendors to cut it. Yes, we're during the time that the mayors have it, and a request to assess the property of the school, because some of it is to the mayors, they only have, workers? So they need more money. But we're focusing on, the mayor, no. That should be a dead issue, because the mayor should not cut the grass, because there is a contract. Whatever the company is, that then they should be held liable. And the principal should not sign that they're satisfied with the job, because they're not. They should not sign it, they should not be paid. We are holding a landlord in one of the schools for not doing their job. It goes for all those that have contract. So I just want to mention that.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to depart for a minute. Oh, for the mayor. Yes, Mayor, thanks.
Buenas tardes, Jesus Masi. Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
It's Jesus Masi. Well, 2 things. First and foremost, I want to thank my brother, Vice Mayor Pedro, for standing in, and I apologize for my
Yes.
I want to bring up 2 things, right? In our last meeting and previous meetings before, the superintendent did say that when she was a senator, she was the author of that particular bill that provided contract for the mayors to cut the grass. However, when you look at when you divide that amount of funding to each of the mayor's offices, that is comes to about $300 or $400. That is not enough to cut the grass, especially in the caliber of, when you look at our northern schools, you look at Jigo, you get Dido, those schools that have multiple facilities in their municipalities. Okay, so I want to bring that up, and it's important to understand that we mayors need to assist the Department of Education. But when we constantly put the pressure on the offices because we use the excuse of it is children, it becomes very, very heartbreaking to know that if the mayors do not step forward, then the backlash is on the mayor's offices, right? Single thing, every single, and I want to bring up my second everything that the Department of Education, every decision that the Department of Education directly impacts the mayor's offices. And if we are not on the same page in means of communication, sometimes it's very, very difficult for us to give answers to our constituents because we're not getting the direct information from the Department of Education. So, Madam Superintendent, I wanna bring this up because back in April, and we have spoken about this with President Alec, that we are for our superintendent and the deputy superintendents to have, and I know that member Angel Sablan did mention this in our last meeting, there needs to be a sense of communication amongst those individuals, the mayors that are at the forefront of the community, that need to be in response to the community when decisions are made that deal with our children. So those are the 2 points that I want to bring up, and I agree with member Ms. Gutierrez that there's a contract in place, and then we're going to be a part of that contract. Then we need to make sure that on both ends there's an agreement on how much the funding should be given to the mayor's offices. Because when you deal with schools in that caliber, and there's about, I want to say, 9 schools in the village of Davida alone. I think $300 is not enough to cover the labor costs and everything else that deals with that. So, thank you again for listening. And, these concerns are what we keep bringing up over and over and over again. So I think that the most important thing is for us to come together, meet together, and so that the mayors themselves can bring up the issues that we are experiencing at the forefront of the community and get the necessary people involved so that we can come to an understanding and an agreement so that we can both help each other. These was massive.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Superintendent, please set a meeting up between you and your staff and the mayors so that we can get some of these matters addressed. Superintendent?
Yes, and like I said earlier, I did ask 3-4 mayors to please relay to Mr. Alec that I would like to have that meeting with them, and if it not has happened, I will personally make that phone call tomorrow morning.
Very good. Thank you, Superintendent. Ladies and gentlemen.
Madam Chair, I don't know if you're doing the same thing I'm going to do. We've been in this meeting now an hour and 51 minutes.
Yeah.
And we haven't hardly moved in the agenda. And I'd like to make a motion to move celebrate success.
Yes.
Do it now, get into the superintendent's report, and then into executive session because I do want to get to the superintendent's evaluation.
All right.
That's my motion.
All right. Motion, is there a second?
Madam Chair, before second, I know that Mayor Blas will discuss the superintendent report. That's why he's waiting. He wasn't talking. What he was saying before has nothing to do. He was just bringing up, but he's waiting for the superintendent report.
Yes, we will have that. We will have that.
And after celebrate success, we go into the superintendent's report and then into
all right
executive session.
No objection. So we're going to reorder things at the moment, and we're going to go right into our celebrate success part of our program. I'd like to ask Dr. Okada to assist me, please. And we have some very nice acknowledgments here today for our 2027 Teacher of the Year, our 2026 Teacher of the Year. We also have acknowledgments for Carmela V. for 13 years of service at GOD at our audit office, and also Raymond Blas for 31 plus years as a carpenter 2 here at the Department of Education, and Joseph Vibar for 30 plus years as a plumber 2 here at the Department of Education. So Dr. Mary, please come and oversee this part of our program. Thank you. Yes, we do. Right here at the top. These right here. These two. The two big ones.
Miss Carolyn and Miss AC Joe, come forward, please. There's two parts.
Chair and Madam Superintendent, in full disclosure, Madam Chair, in full disclosure, one of your celebrants happens to be my daughter, but I had nothing to do with giving her the certificate today. It's up to the superintendent.
So the first one is for AC Joe Sablon, 2026 Teacher of the Year, relative to the commendation and recognition of the Guam Department of Education 2026 Teacher of the Year, AC Joe Sablon Cruz, for her outstanding service, leadership, and dedication to the students and community of Guam. And I won't read through the resolution, but I will read therefore be it resolved that the Guam Education Board hereby recognizes and commends AC Joe Sablon Cruz for her outstanding dedication to education, exemplary leadership, commitment to service, for inspiring students to recognize the power of their stories, serve others with compassion, and pursue lives of purpose and positive impact, and for being selected as the 2026 GDOE Teacher of the Year Award, presented by the Foundation for Public Education during the Guam Teacher of the Year recognition ceremony held in May 2025 at Cars Plus Guam and Mighty, and wishes her well in the 2026 National Teacher of the Year program. And be it further resolved that the Guam Education Board Chairwoman certifies and the Guam Education Board Executive Secretary attest to the resolution hereof and transmit a copy of this resolution be presented to AC Joe Sablon Cruz as an expression of appreciation and recognition for her exemplary service and contributions to public education on Guam. Duly and regularly adopted this 18th of August 2026, signed by the Chairwoman, Dr. Judith Gutherds, and the Executive Secretary, Dr. Judith Wampat.
Congratulations, sweetie. You deserve that. That's beautiful. Please stay here in a picture, Mary. Next to that. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Thank you.
And the second one we have is relative to the commendation and recognition of Guam Department of Education's 2027 Teacher of the Year, Carolyn E. Haruro, for her outstanding dedication to education, student leadership, and environmental stewardship. Now therefore be it resolved that the Guam Education Board hereby recognizes and commends Carolyn E. Haruro for her outstanding service to public education, her exemplary leadership, and her unwavering dedication to empowering students to become confident learners, responsible leaders, and stewards of their island community, and for being selected as the 2027 GDOE Teacher of the Year, presented by the Foundation for Public Education during the Guam Teacher of the Year recognition ceremony held on May 30th, 2026 at Cars Plus Guam in Mighty, and wishes her well in the 2027 National Teacher of the Year program. And be it further resolved that the Guam Education Board Chairwoman certifies and the Guam Education Board's Executive Secretary attest to the resolution, and that a copy of this resolution be presented and transmitted to Carolyn E. Haruo as an expression of sincere appreciation for her distinguished service and contributions to the students and community of Guam. Duly and regularly adopted this 18th day of August 2026, signed by the Chairwoman, Dr. Judith Gutherds, and the Executive Secretary, Dr. Judith Wampat.
I love your TV interview. It's great. It's great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
How do I open that?
You have two
I have
pages.
2 pages. Okay. Sorry, guys. There you go.
There you go.
Thank you.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you.
Did you get your card already? I did. Wow.
Thank you.
The next certificate is a certificate of appreciation for Carmela V. In appreciation and recognition for your 13 years of service and dedication to the Internal Audit Office, we thank you for your devotion, commitment, and hard work. You have made an impact on our island community given this 18th day of August 2026 at the Guam Department of Education Tidzan headquarters. Signed by the chairwoman, Dr. Judith Gutherds, and the superintendent, Dr. Judith Wampat.
Madam Chair. I want to say something as a member of the audit committee. Carmela, congratulations on your promotion, because I guess the Department of Administration realized the work that you can do to be the next chief auditor. I am sorry that I was not able, or my colleagues, for that pay parity to be implemented, but they'll pay for it. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
I'll see you before that. Okay, and then the next two certificates will be received by Dr. Julie Ojoa Heath, and this is for Joseph Vibar for his recognition of 30 plus years of service and dedication to the field of facilities and maintenance, 30 years plus as a plumber too, and Mr. Raymond Blas in appreciation and recognition for his 31 plus years of service and dedication to the facilities and maintenance department. So we congratulate both of these individuals for on their retirement.
On behalf of Raymond and Joseph, they appreciate the recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And tell them that it's true.
3, 2.
I love what retirees, they can come back.
Yeah, they could. Right.
Okay.
Okay. There's a law to hire retirees on the way.
So we're gonna go into the superintendent's report.
I'll be right back.
Okay, we would like to now continue on with the agenda. The next item up on the agenda is the unfinished business, and we will start with the superintendent's report. Madam Superintendent, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. On the opening of the school year 26-27, the Department of Education successfully opened all schools on August 10th and ended the double session schedules at F.B. Linguero Middle School and Simon Sanchez High School. This accomplishment was achieved despite several challenges, including significant teacher vacancies across the district. To mitigate the impact of teacher shortages and provide immediate support to the schools, GDOE implemented the following actions. 1, conducted ongoing school personnel audit to identify schools with personnel needs and determine opportunities for reassignment. 2, allow teacher prep to provide additional instructional coverage and help ensure that classes were staffed. 3, initiated Operation Guardian, through which GDOE personnel were assigned to provide classroom coverage and support schools experiencing teacher shortages. Additionally, school attendance officers, social workers were mobilized to assist in areas of safety and welcoming and guiding students and families. And 4, process, which is still ongoing, the hiring of retired and substitute teachers to provide additional instructional support and fill critical vacancies. We conducted a needs and solutions conversation the first week of school opening with middle school principals on August 13 and on major areas of concern, which includes personnel for special needs, burnt out and growing concern on shortages with vacancies and recruitment, and busing delays, especially with student dismissal, which impacts extended supervision and compensation concerns. The glows, which we consider the bright spots of the first 4 days across our schools, are that our students are welcomed with care, enthusiasm, and happy smiles. Overall, safety, orderliness, and a climate of belonging was observed. Welcome back to school 21,605 students from pre-K to 12. Human Resources continues to process personnel actions for teacher applicants and is actively recruiting certified teachers, substitute teachers, and school aides to fill remaining vacancies. On FB and Simon Sanchez, on August 6, the occupancy permit was completed and passed by the Department of Health under Public Health, Environmental Health. Phase 2, which is the installation of 42 lock set and white glass for whiteboard, we expect that to be completed on August 19. What this will mean is that when Phase 3 and the 20 classrooms that will be built on the Guam Housing Corporation property, that was the plan to move Simon Sanchez High School there. On Simon Sanchez and Tijan High School, an unannounced school building inspection occurred on August 12th for Tijan High and Simon Sanchez. Public Health provided DOE the inspection outcome on August 13 with 50 demerits, grade D, resulting on a campus closure. CoreTech and GDOE are working on addressing the 50 demerits in order for the campus to open. Over the weekend, CoreTech mobilized 100 plus workers to the school site to start addressing the issues. The scheduled public date was actually for August the 21st. Instruction will be provided through an asynchronous learning environment and physical learning packets for those students who may not have access to laptops and MiFis. These learning packets will be provided during the grab and go and those without transportation will be delivered by our social workers through the school culture and climate engagement team. Tijan High School will utilize 2 classrooms at Guam Community College to accommodate students with special needs and to provide necessary special education services. Simon Sanchez High School continues to communicate with parents and will provide learning packet. I understand that they are discussing, also having a conversation with DL Perry's to be able to mobilize some of our staff and aides to assist with these children. On the strategic plan, on July 28, 2026, the steering committee members were appointed along with their responsibilities. So between July and August of this year, they had launched the steering committee and have conducted a facilitator training. Between August and September, a review and close the state strategic plan through organizational assessment, in which they will gather, analyze, and interpret information for the close-out strategic plan of 2022 to 2027. Facilitator training is scheduled for August the 26th of this year. On the consolidated grant, a full report link will be delivered on August 14. USDOE has approved GDOE's request for late liquidation of the CG 2023 award. Accounting has submitted a request to draw the entire balance, which is approximately $587,000, to the Internal Audit Office for review and approval. Tiffany Forrester from USDOE, she is the last remaining USDOE employer that has not been released, will open the G5, meaning that she would unlock the program in order for us to draw down those monies. CG 2024 final date to be obligated is September 30th of this year. On February 1st, 2027 is the final date to liquidate obligations, complete the payments, and to draw down the funds. So the estimated G5 balance as of August 13, 2026 is $23.2 million, and this amount includes actually the salaries of all those also on IDC. Existing purchase orders that's out is $5.8 million. There are pending requisitions that has not yet been converted to POs in the amount of $11.6 million. That means these are on the pipeline. They are waiting for procurement to be cut. The status of the salary adjustment of the auditors is that GDOE's internal audit office requested reconsideration of their salary parity realignment request consistent with auditor positions in the Guam Office of the Public Accountability. And there is a report 26-07A dated on April 29, 2026. Final review, analysis, and recommendation from the superintendent is anticipated no later than September the 30th of this year. On the textbook audit report, the textbook audit report was issued on March 2026 and remains in the implementation phase. Management's response to the audit findings and recommendations was submitted to the Office of Public Accountability and was incorporated into the final audit report. At this time, the remaining action is the completion and submission of a corrective action plan that addresses each audit recommendation, identifies responsible personnel, timelines for implementation, and outlines the actions that will be taken to prevent recurrence. Upon receipt of the corrective action plan, the Internal Audit Office will monitor implementation of the corrective actions and provide periodic updates to the superintendent and the board regarding the status of management's progress. That completes my report.
Are any questions, ladies and gentlemen, to the report?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the report, Madam Superintendent, but I didn't hear when is Tijan and Simon Sanchez tentatively scheduled to be completed and reopened. I didn't hear anything about SIFA. I didn't hear anything about the additional classrooms that are supposed to be built up at Simon Sanchez. I didn't hear anything about what's in the budget that has been approved by the legislature, whether you got what you wanted or there's amendments in there that deals with GDOE. As I have said before, all I ask you is be transparent. And these things are very important, and we don't hear it from you. And I'm just hoping we don't read it again in the paper. That who authorized SIFA to move into Chief Brody? It was supposed to be yesterday. What are we doing with Tijan High School and Southern? Yes, Southern and Simon Sanchez.
Mr. Sublime,
let me just finish the topics, then you can respond. The bus schedule. Some of the parents are saying it might as well be that they stay at JFK for double session because the kids come home at the same time from Simon Sanchez. And we hear now from other parents, kids are being released at 3 o'clock and they don't get home till 6 o'clock. One of these days, we're going to be again into a lawsuit if something, I hope it never happens, something happens to any child between ending of school and getting home. The additional classrooms, I understand that the GURA thing, I understand that the amendment to allow for that to happen was not approved. So I don't know how that's going to move forward. And then I did hear, and I know the Vice Chair mentioned this, about a budget amendment for our finance people to be under the control of DOA. I understand that amendment did not pass, but how did that all transpire? How did they even get an idea of taking our budget or our finance section and putting it under DOA? These are kind of things it's come up, but you haven't reported on it, so I'd like to hear your report on it, if you have any.
Okay, so I know you made a long list of them. I'm going to ask you if you can, one
Go
by
ahead.
one, ask each one of them and I'll answer them.
Tizen and
Okay,
Simon Sanchez.
okay, and you want. And
You have Cortec working there.
Okay, so what we found out was, well, we had a meeting Friday morning with Mr. Ho, his construction workers, his attorney, Joyce Tang, were there. Our 3 attorneys were present as well, the 2 principals of the schools, and my deputies, and some board members, a few board members.
And I was there. I excused myself because of
Left. Yes.
legal counsel's advice.
So the conversation was focused on whose responsibility is it to fix Simon Sanchez. The principal from Simon Sanchez said, Tijan, I'm sorry, thank you. The principal of Tijan said that basically this problem has been going on for years and years. And that's how we started then to talk about whose responsibility it is. Many times when the request would come in, their response is, it is not their responsibility, or 2, it is not covered in the insurance, or sometimes we're told there is no insurance, especially when it comes to after the typhoon. Our guys would end up doing the work at Tijan. If they did any for the department, we would not only pay for workers, we would also pay for the materials, and above that, we would pay an additional 15% interest. So the conversation focused then with the attorney there about whose responsibilities there are. Dr. Ujoa prepared a matrix based on the contract and listed everyone's responsibilities, but she wasn't going to go with just that. A request was made then that both our attorneys and she will review the contract to delineate whose responsibilities, what their responsibilities are. In addition, what we asked Mr. Ho and his workers to do was to focus instead on the 50 demerits, because that was the main concern, is to address those that we can open. Mr. Ho said that if he has to mobilize as many people as he can, he will. So over the weekend, he did. There was 100+ workers that appeared. They were working on the air conditioning, they're working on restrooms, they're working on other electrical problems. But then there was a concern that some of these citations or the demerits were not very clear. So I asked Public Health if they could send back those inspectors, the same inspectors, to clarify to the workers what needed to be done. They were concerned that when they say that the floor tiles had a stain, he was saying that it would take about a month, or months rather, for all the classrooms to go in and change all the tiles. So that's why I asked for DH inspectors to come to clarify. Based on their report, their response, they were told that then they did not need to retile the whole classroom, but rather only to remove and replace the tiles that are stained. So that was definitely clear. So, and then there were others about the walls that are not straight, or the surface was not straight. And the clarification was that if there was a bubble, then that was what they're considered, that it wasn't smooth and straight, and that needed to be scraped and paint. The other was the leaks on the roof, because as soon as an acoustic tile has a water stain, then it needed to be replaced. If they were not smooth, that they might be slightly ajar, then that we would be cited for that. We also found out is that with the air conditioning for the school, a teacher that particular day was going to be gone for the day, had turned off her air con, and when they came in the afternoon, they noticed that the air con wasn't on, the temperature had risen, and basically said that the air con should be on 24/7. And then 24/7. And then in addition, they were cited because there's a room, storage rooms, where the custodians or the workers would push the cart in for storage, that the temperature and the humidity was high also, and that we needed to put air conditioning in there to definitely rate, to lower the temperature and lower the humidity. So all of those things were clarified Monday morning when they met. So now they have a better direction. And we did ask the question, what now are we looking at? We made, yes, in our conversation that we would really like to try to keep it as much as possible to about a week. I have not gotten any feedback yet. The only thing I received so far is that tomorrow morning there will be a meeting between the attorneys to address whose responsibilities they are. The concern we have, and I shared this with the senator today, this morning or this afternoon, was that if we are to give them the go, because Dr. Julie spoke to Mr. Kim, that he said that some of those he would consider not their responsibility. It was turned over, or rather, the excuse was that it was either abused or vandalized, and that it is not their responsibility. We would have to pay for it. They not proceed to do any work unless we put something in writing to proceed. But by doing so, I shared with the senator that by doing so, it means basically I am giving them a blank check to go ahead and do all the repairs, not knowing exactly what the cost will be. We are sending out a letter, yes, Mr. Leon Guerrero, DFAS, sending the letter out to say that to please proceed with the work that needed to be done within the limits of the contract, and then we will take it from there. So that is the latest so far that we know of when it comes to Simon Sanchez and Tejan High School.
So if the parts that Cortec is not supposedly responsible for, and we don't have it mitigated, public health is going to say that we have not met or corrected deficiencies completely.
Well,
so what is the other option?
So that's what I was telling you. Whatever is our responsibility, yes, we will do, and we are providing all of the materials. Our men are all mobilized there as well to mitigate all of those demerits. But what is the responsibility of Cortec? You're right. They would be the ones to make that determination if they're not going to do it and are going to depend on us.
So you're saying there is no funding issue?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that what they're asking us to do is to give them a blank check.
A funding issue for the things that they're not going to correct. How are you going to fund that?
I told them that when we get the billing, I'm sending it down to the legislature. By the way, at the same time, is for the Attorney General to be able to review that, because we learned on that day that the property is not really the property of Cortec, but that it now belongs to Phoenix IDA, a nonprofit organization, and that they have contracted CTI, Cortec, to do the maintenance of the school.
Which begs the question, did it really take pictures that our students took to go viral for our department to open their eyes and say, why is the electronic door not working? Why are there termites in the bottom of the door jamb? Why are the toilets inoperable? Why is it not flushing properly? Did it really take our students to be the one to let us know that these are problems? Remember, on August 7th, at our meeting here, 100% we are ready to open. And I specifically ask, I applaud you that you are 100% ready to open. But what if something happens along the way? What is your plan B? To this date, I have not seen a plan B. Although I was told at that very meeting that yes, we'll come up with some plan B. So now we're stuck. No plan B. Oh, kids, go pick up your food on a grab and go and pick up your assignments from different mayor's offices or wherever they're getting it at. That's just totally unacceptable, especially especially when the public thinks that it's this board that is not doing anything to hold you accountable for what is happening. I don't know about the other board members, I know about myself. I've been getting texts, I've been getting calls. But why is it this way? Then we have Southern High that's on the horizon. That may be the next problem. And I know our facilities people are working very, very hard to correct all these deficiencies. But when you tell me that we are 100% ready to open, and 3 days later, we get this. The school has to shut down. 2 schools have to shut down. It's not the fault of the students. And maybe it's a blessing. It's a blessing for Tijan High School that Simon Sanchez High School moved over there so that these deficiencies can come to light. Because if Simon Sanchez didn't move over there, Tijan would still be open today, operating, because public health wouldn't have come till August 21st when their sanitary permit expires and needs to be renewed.
I'm not going to
SIFA.
argue with you.
SIFA.
Wait, let's finish this. I'm not going to argue with you about the fact that, yes, now we're finding it out. I'm saying the same thing as you, that yes, now we know. And the principal.
When did you know?
The day that they were going to.
Only then, right? So
yes.
why did you
And
say
when we
100%
said
ready? Madam Superintendent, 100% ready.
Because we have a checklist. We have a checklist that was given to all the school principals to indicate that they are ready. We have to trust.
So
what
are
the
you holding them
principals are
accountable?
We will be holding our.
Are you
people.
holding them? Not we will. Are you holding them accountable? It's already
course.
happened.
Yes.
The school shut down.
What do you want from?
Now what do I want?
I mean, you're telling me. I said yes, we are going to, and we
You
are.
said will. You should
But
already
are you
hold them
dictating
accountable.
Exactly what it is to hold.
You
them
don't even know
accountable?
when the
That's my
damn
question.
school is going to open again.
Because of the work that needs to be done.
Madam
Only
Chair,
the
Madam Chair,
construction
it's just
workers can
frustration.
determine that.
I'm sorry.
Just watch the language, please.
There's nothing I said that was out of order. Okay? SIFA. We were here again on August 7th. The acting superintendent at that time reported that the guys are putting up the walls and all that because SIFA is going to move in. Not even an hour after that meeting on August 7th, breaking news. SIFA is not moving into George Washington High School. You weren't on island. You mean to tell me that in that 1 hour, all of a sudden everything's changed? Did they not know that SIFA's not going to move in? Did you not tell them, your people, your acting superintendent, stop the work because SIFA's not moving in? When did that happen? We were here on August 7th. He could have told us that no. And then at the same time, the senator says, oh, I've made a deal. They're moving into Chief Brody Elementary School. Did you make that arrangement or agreement? How can a senator say they're moving into GDOE property without you knowing?
You're right, I wasn't here, and I did not make that decision. This is the truth. My deputies went to the school. They asked the principal. The discussion has been made several times as a matter of fact, that our schools that have vacancies, vacant classrooms, we were looking at them to rent them out, to be able to provide funding to the department to address facilities and maintenance. At GW, they have the largest number of classrooms available other than Southern High School. So the discussion took place with the principal about the possibility of them moving in and identifying with how many classrooms. The CFED indicated they would like to have 20, but 20 was not available. The principal said 20 is not available, only 16. Then my deputies asked, what about this 4 classrooms? He said, no, we can't because SPED will need them. So they bypassed that. They left it alone. Very next day, the principal called and said, I spoke to my teachers and they said, yes, we'll be willing to move, but I need for you to do this, this, and this. They were asking for all these things to be done at the school, and in addition, a request for 4 40-foot containers to put a lot of stuff that were in storage in those classrooms to secure those materials and equipment. Then our guys went to do an assessment of what it is that they would need to do to be able to procure the materials. And because while they were doing that, then of course, word came out later on saying that no, now they don't want to do this. So naturally, the next thing was is to ask to have a meeting with the principal. Before we knew it, it was all blown out of proportion. Everyone was invited to come in. The media was invited to come.
We weren't invited, for your information, Madam Superintendent.
I don't know who did the invitation, but the meeting was set up supposedly with DOE, and the teachers were affected, but it turned out to be
And I say that because, again, the media, the public was saying, where is the board? Why weren't they at this meeting? We didn't know about that. At least I didn't know. I don't know about the other members.
Because in this case, this was an operational decision, not necessarily the board's. And that's the reason why the board wasn't asked to attend that meeting. And we did not do any of the invitation other than the fact that we were asked to be there to address the teachers.
And you can continue to hide behind the operations thing, but the fact of the matter is, on August 7th, when we're here in a meeting, not 1 hour later, breaking news that CFA was not going to move into, I'm sure you knew about it.
I want to make one clarification. At that meeting that we had, if I'm not mistaken, you brought up the question of, is this legal or not, to lease DOE property to CFA?
Yes.
I remember that, Mr. Sablan, and I thought about it. It was a very good question to ask. And none of us at that time was certain, because you brought it up. And I remember I cautioned during that meeting that we cannot proceed unless this question is answered. Because if the law does not allow us to do that, and you said it yourself, we cannot do this.
So I'm asking.
Wait. I said, even though we want to help the students of CFA, and that's why DOE offered to assist them, because they couldn't get help at GCC because of them needing their space. So it was suggested that we ask DOE if they could help because they had some extra space. The superintendent went out of her way with her management team to identify potential space. Somehow, and I don't know why, it turned out to be a big controversy. Like you said, we were not invited by anybody to attend the meeting where the senators spoke up and everybody seemed to be right up. I was not aware of that until I saw that in the media, right? But I did respect your question on whether or not it would be legal for DOE to even rent space, even in an emergency. Our reaction was, and our decisions was, let's find out. Let's get an opinion.
But,
And
but my question,
because of that, I think that was the reason that we could not go forward. Because frankly, we need the legislature to make an amendment on the current law that you reminded us about
but
that gives that authority to a new group, a commission, right? Not
correct,
to us.
correct.
And that's why it didn't proceed. However, my understanding, maybe Dr. Wampat can clarify, is she has been working with the Committee on Education senator to assist us in that regard.
And that's fine. That's fine. That's well and good. But there was a contract signed by the superintendent
Well, we thought,
even before I brought this up at the meeting.
well,
And I did warn her that there is a public law.
yeah, that's when that came
I
up.
did.
Yes.
But my question is, in the matter between the ending of our meeting on the 7th and news, who made that decision that CIFA was not going to move in on August
Well,
10th?
I think it was a result of our meeting.
I don't think so.
I do. I think the members here can tell us.
I think
But
it's
it
because,
looked very questionable whether we actually had the legal authority to proceed.
And-
Until we get the legal authority, we
and,
could
and
not
so the
proceed.
superintendent is also saying that she knew nothing of Senator Borja's big news item that he has made a deal and CIFA will move into the
I was
unused
surprised.
Chief
Even
Road.
myself, I was
So I was
surprised.
asking, did the superintendent know? Or is this, the senator made that all on his own? I support charter schools, don't get me wrong. They are also public school students. They need to have a place to go. My main concern, as I told Mr. Vela, is I don't want the kids to keep bouncing around. We put them into GW on August 10th. We on August 21st move out because it's the lease agreement illegal. Now we're them starting yesterday into Brody Elementary School. I haven't seen anything to that story saying that they are going to be moving over there. I've seen nothing happen, but there's still public law 3866 that has to be complied with. I mean, even the superintendent admitted that she's seeking an amendment in the budget bill to allow her to bypass 3860. I don't think it's happened.
And very distinctly, Mr. Sablan, I made it very clear during our meeting that we cannot proceed without legal guidance. I made that very clear.
So the superintendent has to come out
And she can
publicly
tell us right
and
now.
tell, no, she has to come publicly and say, while we want CIFA to have a place to stay, Senator Borja has to understand that we have a process that must be followed, a legal process
I think he
that
knows
must
that.
be
I
followed.
think he knows that.
Well,
He's trying to develop the legislation.
still, the superintendent has to come out and say,
Dr. Wampet, you want to
Senator
say-
Borja, we cannot give Chief Brody just like that. We've not to the.
Mr.
It may end up with them, but still, there's a legal process that has to be
Mr.
She
followed.
did that. I think she did.
You're
that.
right, because of the question that you were brought up about the public law, which allows us, yes, to lease decommissioned schools. But at the same time, we had board policy 620, in which then we can rent out classrooms. So we used the board policy while we were waiting for the senator then to be able to make an amendment to the law, because we were trying to figure out other ways other than for us to go and do a real estate property value of our facilities. In the meantime, so naturally we couldn't use Brody or LBJ. We were looking then at renting out classrooms. Board policy that was passed many years ago under Superintendent Fernandez came up. They went through their own AAA process and came up with $50 per day. We used the board policy then to be able to come up with charging them $1,500 per classroom, which came out to $50 a day times 30 days. And it was only for a certain number of months, while the senator was able to make an amendment, but provide an amendment to the budget law, which would allow for the prevailing square footage rate to be able then to lease out the schools. And that's why we didn't use that legislation nor the amendment. As you know, the budget bill was vetoed. That language still remains in the budget law that is now at the governor's office. So yes, the
Which is your
amendments,
vehicle to be able to
yes, but at
have Chief Brody
yes, but
and
at
any
the
other
same-
school decommissioned to be
It
leased.
was for two. I mean, we were looking at three. We're looking at that bill in the budget. We're looking at the budget law that was passed, that was introduced by Senator San Augustine, and we were using Board Policy 620. Those were the vehicles that we were looking at. And the one that exists, it's the one that we decided to use because it already has a dollar figure for renting out these facilities. And we used Board Policy 620.
Okay. No communication with either CFA, the senator, or yourself as to the status of Chief Brody?
Now, yes, I did. When I received a message, exactly what you said, that then there was a discussion between Mr. Rivera and the senator, suggesting, I'm only saying because I'm not part of that conversation. Yes, I was off island, suggesting, recommending, you see, Brody. And that's where the amendment was requested. And in order to do that, then we would need to have that amendment. And because there was so much objection from some of the senators, the threat of being sued, and because of the question that took place here in the board, whether we could legally move forward with it, the decision was made then that not to proceed, to have then CFA move into GW, and everything was going to
Until
go
the
back
law
to
was
normal.
changed.
So now our CFA students are just waiting because we don't know where they're going.
Yes, but at the same time,
And that's my concern.
in our conversation, and so is it. So am I. I'm concerned. There are our children. I don't care whether they're in the Catholic schools, charter schools, or public schools. They are our children. It doesn't matter.
But
And we should
we have to
treat
do
all
it
of
legally.
them
That's what we have
with-
to do.
Yes, but that is the reason why the request for the amendment. So the bill passed, the amendment passed, it's intact, and it's at the governor's office. I asked the governor if she has any objection to any of our requests, and she said no. This would take me into the other subject matter that you asked about DOE, accounting office, and our federal programs, grants being transferred. And I asked the governor to please not do that because we don't know what the consequences are. Whether one, we will get our full funding, will monies be able to be pulled out because it now can then be under, the control of the governor should there be any kind of shortfall. I was trying to protect that. The senator supported it, and the governor said it wasn't then a deal breaker at all for her. So
Okay.
that was removed in
We just
the
want to
budget.
protect CFA students to make sure that they
Yes.
don't keep
And I'm
being
glad to
bounced
hear that.
around.
Thank you very much. I totally agree
But
with
it
you.
has to be done legally so that they don't get thrown out of a school because us adults are just rushing things without following the law. That's my point.
And that's what I'm telling you, we're using, please know, we're using Board Policy 620. And such time until the governor
public-
signs it, then we would go beyond months, whatever it is, to negotiate now a different rate. But for the time being, we can use the vehicle that we have.
Well, I'm not a legal person, and we do
And-
have one here, but
Well, and I
Public Law
did.
3366 was passed in November of 2025. It specifically says in its intent, the use of unused classrooms brought about that law. And so if you're saying that board policy can still take place without adhering to public law,
Because
I
when you
think
do-
we're wrong because public law, you trump public law.
But Senator, law requires do the AAA process, which was done many years ago with, like I said, under the direction of Mr. Fernandez.
Okay.
The only thing that the committee recommended is that we stay with that dollar amount. We don't make any changes because we would have to go out again and change that dollar amount. So we kept that dollar amount as it is in the board policy.
Yes, and that's why you asked for that amendment in the budget bill.
Yes.
hopefully, something happens, because I don't know how long more CFA students are going to be out of the classroom.
And
I don't.
I would have you know is that I've been working with our legal counsel on the MOA to really make sure, yes, that everything we do would be in accordance not just with our board policy, but even with the language that is in the budget law that the governor right now is saying she has no qualms at all with it. And that she's not going, we're hoping she's not going to veto it because they have a veto-proof vote. And the next question that you have. You had a long list.
I did have a long list. She spoke about the budget and the amendment. The,
So all the things that we requested, yes, from the governor went through.
the Tijan and Simon Sanchez traffic and the bus dilemma.
Yes.
I mean, I know bus is not under your purview. We have to practically work at their mercy, because if we don't have the drivers and we don't have the buses, what are we going to do?
So
But
yeah.
I'm sure, as you know,
So there were
DFAS is working with them.
Yes. So several requests came in from the two principals. One was to move the sentry post that we have here at the entrance where Tijan is as you come in.
That's
So
going on right now.
No, that one was removed.
Yeah.
The other one where the tri-intersection
That's
is,
going on
they
right
are
now.
now smoothing out the area to
The
hopefully,
bulldozer's up there.
hopefully get it ready to open so that we would have, an entrance and exit and to lower the congestion. According again also to Mr. Vince Ariola, that they are working on another area which is closer to the post office. That would take a little bit longer because apparently there's a fuel line, the Navy fuel line beneath, that they're going to need to be able to provide a stronger pathway to support then vehicles and buses to come through. But they are aware of that and are asking us and telling us basically that is something they want to do in hopefully a couple of weeks. Now, in terms of the buses picking up the children after school hours, they indicated that it was much easier, yes, during the double session because they are able to have the same bus drivers going in the morning and then same bus drivers go in the afternoon. They were able to do that even with the shortage of drivers and buses. So they're asking this, allow them, because this is a new route for them, to give them some time to work out the kinks in the schedule. They still have to deal with some shortages of bus drivers and buses. And you're right, that is not our control. And if I can take on and discuss another thing that came on the media the other day, was where the bus driver I know had dropped off some students at the bottom of a hill, and I think it's AFME, and the bus could not take the children up to the hill, and asked some of our children to step out and walk up there, and he was able to drive up, pick up the kids, and then of course deliver them to their bus stops. And that's a bus issue, I realize that, but we are also trying to figure out how could we have helped. And I know a conversation was asked, could we have used our bus drivers on our buses? The only problem is that they are special needs buses. They are retrofitted for wheelchairs, and other things that for children with a disability, versus even having enough space to much less carry 18 students or more in a bus.
Are we looking to alleviate this bus problem at adjusting bail schedules?
So what it is that the conversation that we're having with them is that possibility, whether we need to do that. We don't have a definite time because they want to work out the kinks first before we do this.
Because I understand JFK still starts the same time when they had the double session.
Oh, same time as our kids here?
No, the same time that when they had double session, JFK still has the same time.
Yeah, but they do have still the same time, but our kids the Sanchez kids weren't coming until the afternoon. So in the morning,
what I'm saying is that now that it's only JFK at that school,
yeah, but it's
why are they starting at the same time that god awful time in the morning?
Well, I don't know how to schedule bus.
No,
buses.
our bell schedule.
our barrel schedule, but that was at the request of the school principals about their starting time. The only difference in Simon Sanchez and Tijan was a short delivery time. They didn't want all the children to come in and dropped off at the same time. So that's why they asked for that slight staggered bell schedule. But
So they
other,
still start at 5:30 in the morning.
yes,
Adjusted JFK for a later start.
yeah.
Why,
So
why are
we're,
they still starting at 5:30
Yeah.
when there's no other school to
you
come
know,
in?
you're right. I've always been asking that question in terms, and I think we know that teachers want the schools to start, they like to start early. And one of the justifications is that because they want the children out early so that they can go and work.
Or
That
go to
was
the
one
university.
conversation that I've heard for having to start early. But if that's not going to be an issue, uh, Jackie, then that, we can actually have that conversation with DPW.
They had that time before. Why would
So-
it be an issue now?
So JFK starting.
Same thing here, Tijan and Simon Sanchez. Because of the bus schedules and because of the heavy traffic, maybe we should think about starting one school later than the other, so that buses and traffic and parents don't all converge in this location at one time. That's
Yeah.
Good point.
just a
No,
recommendation.
that's actually a good recommendation. So we'll have that conversation with DPW.
And then the classrooms at Gura.
Okay, I spoke with the deputy director of GURA to really get an understanding about those two classrooms that were built with federal dollars. And he informed me that, oh, wait, no, you're talking about the two.
The Gura apartments,
Oh, that one. Okay, I thought you were talking about.
we can't
Gura.
make it into classrooms because it's not zoned for a school, is that
Okay,
what I
so-
understand?
Yeah, so yes, that was a request also. I had requested Senator Munoz Barnes to include that amendment in the budget law.
But it failed.
To allow for, they kept the same language for Guam Housing Corporation, but they added schools to it. So that was the only change that was submitted in budget, because the original budget, the original legislation, the bill that was introduced was never entertained and passed. So she took the same language from that bill and offered it and put it in the budget law.
My understanding is that amendment failed, so how do we move forward?
That's not what I heard. I heard it all passed.
So it's in the bill before the governor now.
You need to just clarify that. I think
right.
the amendment failed before they even approved the budget.
That's not what the senator told me, but I would ask Senator Barnes about that.
Like they say, don't always trust everything you read in the media.
Thank you. Thank you. That is so true. And I'd just like to say, if I may, and I'm sorry it started out kind of heated at the very beginning when you say photos were being sent. Because I asked the principal about the photos that were sent. And the principal said that mound of termites weren't even termites. It was an anthill. And it wasn't in any of the classrooms or the restroom. It was in the staff's office. But they had addressed it weeks before.
You know how perception is.
Okay, yes, you're right. But unfortunately, the photo was taken and it was sent. Then the other thing about sewage, it wasn't even sewage, it was water leaking. So but those are just things that, Simon Sanchez, when they sent a photo of a rat that was in the classroom, that photo was 1 year old, but yet, like you said, the perception when it is posted, then people believe it as if though it occurred just yesterday. And it's so unfortunate because here we are, like all of you, we all want to open our schools. We want our children to be in a healthy, safe environment. That's all we want. But it's unfortunate sometimes, and yes, it may be because we're not, people are sending photos, people are calling in about some things that are just not true, and yes, public health would always respond. Like you said, we might have a situation at Southern High School. We found out Friday morning when we were working with Fortec and the attorneys that our office got a call about an anonymous caller to public health. So they had to make an unscheduled, unannounced, visit. And I mean, whether protocol was followed or not, I know there are some individuals out there really trying to help us. But at the same time, we have those who just want to sensationalize everything and make the department look bad. It's so unfortunate.
So no results yet from Southern High?
For which one?
Southern High, no results yet from the inspection?
No, apparently, I just found this out this morning. I didn't realize it at 6 a.m. that the Admiral and his team had visited the campus at 4 p.m. And 4 p.m. I was in a meeting with my deputies. Nobody called us. The principal didn't call. The assistant principal didn't call. We didn't know about it, like I said, until this morning at 6 a.m. when I got a message from Senator Boer asking me if my people were there. And I said, for what? And he said, well, apparently the military was present. And just to give you an update, is that we are going to meet tomorrow so that we can have this conversation, you see, with the Admiral. And I've asked to bring our Deputy for Assessment and Accountability and F&M as well, I guess, to share this. And I'll also let you know that Dr. Guthertz and I, when we were invited to meet with the CODEL, they wanted to know what are some of the things we were concerned about. And she would vouch is that one, my ask was basically about how old our school facilities are, that whatever new schools we have were built by local dollars, and those prior to that were built by the military or federal dollars, and we was appealing to them, to assist in any way financially for us to replace many of our old school buildings. So she asked me to send her, one of the Congress woman asked me to send her then some of the information about the status of our schools. So the appeal has been that. And I want you to know as well, and you know that when we submitted our budget, and Mr. Fedenko, when I met with him also, when I shared with him our request, our ask in our budget, was to put in, because yes, our top priority was to take care of all of our personnel. In addition, we wanted to address all the CBA positions. And then the third was all of what we call non-negotiable items like utilities and the contracts that we have. So it wasn't, a wish list. It was what we said were non-negotiable items and totally based on mandates by the legislature.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Yes.
Madam Chair, I know
Yes.
that Vice Mayor Blas wanted to ask question on the superintendent's report. Is he here? He left?
I can meet with him later then.
When Mr. Sablan mentioned about the August 7 meeting, and then the chair said we needed legal. Superintendent, there was no legal present for the board on August 7. You have 3 legal people, so I suggest that every meeting you assign them, because they did a roll call, but that legal wasn't present. And I can see where Mr. Sablan is coming from. And sometimes when I bring issues like this, he gets on me, but SOP 170006, that should be the Bible of the readiness for the school. Because a lot of this on this SOP, and that's why I know when we got this document, I wasn't satisfied on the 2 meetings because I know it's not accurate. I've been to the schools. I've been to every school's restroom, cafeteria. Because if there's one thing at the school that should always be clean, it's the restrooms and the cafeteria. Because our kids, that's where they go. This thing about, oh, because it's aircon, now the kids don't want to go out of the classroom. Maybe I'm out of the cafeteria, the restroom. Then the school should find something to keep those kids occupied during recess because they have nothing to do. Some schools do it. They got volleyball, soccer ball, all kinds. So they need to be innovative. I too would like to know about the Simon Sanchez. I had grands. I had a great grand. I had a granddaughter-in-law. Thank God my granddaughter is not here in Simon Sanchez. Go to the bus, the lateness of the bus. It's not only Southern, the students from the Simon Sanchez that get so late. And if many of us don't know Jigo, and because you're from the Centro or from the South, then I invite you, and I know Mayor Lizama will invite you, go up to Santa Rosa Mountain subdivision and see. Would you have your child, your daughters especially, walk like 6 o'clock in the evening home because the bus came late? This bus situation is not new. Even last school year, Agida Johnston, even this school year, that's why I asked at the finance committee meeting, are these school aides that stays beyond their working hours, are they gonna get paid overtime? Because the bus is late. Is it the fault of the employees? No. And when we have these kids that are riding the bus, like Pago Bay, they live way inside, not in any of the beautiful houses. They stay inside the family compound, family residential. And 6 o'clock, that's the time they reach home and the school is over at 3. That's why I can go on. And then this thing about the Tizan and the Simon Sanchez. I received a call from a parent, are they going to prepare grab and go? I said, I don't know. All I know that the school was shut down. That's why I asked for the demerits, the listing of the demerits. I want to commend the the food and nutrition administrator, Sean Manforti, because I was listening to Candid News. And he must be listening, and he said, meals will be at Jigo Mayor's, at Jigo Gym and Barrigada Gym. Why was there no press release from this department, from your office superintendent, where parents don't know? Then teacher would tell, you have to come tomorrow to central office and Xerox all the handout, the handout. Enough laptop? Oh my goodness, really? Where's the inventory in their laptop? These are things that the stakeholders needs to know. So I want to find out, because it looks like it's last minute that does grab and go. So the mayor of Barrigada and the mayor of Jigo have to go make sure that their staff is at the gym to help out for the grab and go. That's another extra work for them. Maybe we should ask them how many staff do they have, because I'll tell you, maybe they only had 5. Communication to the stakeholders is very important. Yes, it's operational, but if they start calling me, I will tell them. I am elected. And I want those people that voted for me, and even those that didn't vote for me, even those that don't like me, to know what's going on, like Mr. Sablan, transparency. Yes. They call the board dummies. I'm not dummy. I know what I'm saying, what I'm doing. But can I help it when the public feels like that? And when was the mayor of Jigo and the mayor of Bargata informed that they're going to use their gym for the grab and go? Because DOE did not put out press release or in their Facebook until the next day. So parents that don't have transportation from Simon Sanchez to go over to the Jigo mayor office. We have parents in the Gil subdivision, in the Hemlaoni apartment, that some of them don't have cars to go and pick up the meals. We need to start a better communication, because this is what is the problem here. And this is exactly why I asked for the August 7th special meeting, because I know that the report, the readiness report, that every principal signed, "Are you ready to open?" is not true. Because restrooms that are not fixed, covered, the sink covered, and I go back again, covered with a trash bag, no toilet seat. If I was a parent at Wedding Yell, I demand that action be, and I need demand a response. But lucky that we had a primary election, and I commend that voter for taking that picture and posting it, because that is very embarrassing. I bet you maybe they call the mayors again to pull up the Duck 10. Superintendent, in your report strategic plan, is the strategic plan included the stakeholders, the mayors, to be part? Because that's what we did. When we started this strategic plan, we had the committees are set up with stakeholders and mayors. And if it's just your people, what, after the fact that they're going to go out and do a presentation? No. From day one, you need to hear from the Mr. Torres is the parent rep, and I suggest that Mr. Torres be given a listing of all the schools that have PTOs, and have a PTO meet, let them be involved, because they are if it's not for them, nobody here will have a job. As much as I just want to stay back, but no. The next one, where it says 100% ready, I had to I got a message from a parent, 37 unit at Ukudu High School, home of the Bulldogs, no air conditioning. This is a lease school. This is a lease school. What is going on with the landlord? We have a warehouse in PD, ladies and gentlemen, with a lot of air conditioning. We are finally going to be, receiving the OPA's audit on air conditioning. There's a lot of air conditioning on there. So Ukudu doesn't have don't have windows to open. What's happening? This is a lease school, just like the grass cutting. Okay. So I just want to share that. So because we really want to go into executive session, that I request that we have a special meeting before our regular meeting on September 15, because we need a follow-up on all those positions that have not been filled at the school, the conditions of the school. Because the public now are waiting for response. What is the status of the Simon Sanchez and the Tizan High School? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much,
May
Ms.
I
Gutierrez.
respond?
Yes, Judy.
Uh, Thank you very much. When we learned, of course, that the schools were closed on Thursday, then on Friday, immediately, yes, we asked Sean about the food, and Sean needed to make sure that we are able to follow federal regulations first, because it was different with COVID when they were able to then provide food. It was different also for the other incident of the typhoon. That was an emergency. So we were able to then have food prepared and have them picked up in the different sites. So Sean and his team were working diligently to, first of all, make sure we were in compliance. Secondly, they were also they needed to find locations, and that's why GIGO was recommended. The principal, Carla, also spoke to the mayor to ask if they could use her facility. And what she also did is she did send out her community aides and her staff to assist, and the mayor's staff also assisted to distribute, but our staff went. As soon as we knew then about the grab and go, then our PIO was able to, within the 12-hour time of the shutdown, to post it in all of our media. And then, so that went out immediately. And there is a format or an ad that you basically could have seen, that you can see on social media, that it was sent out and delivered to everyone. Now, granted, not everybody is on Facebook, but we try to get as much information as we can to the people. And based on looking at the data in which how many people have really viewed it to see about the grab and go, is that approximately 20,000 people have actually seen the post, on that day before the pickup. So there are those who maybe they're not all the ones who needed to know about it, but definitely the department was looking at various ways to go out and let the people know. As a matter of fact, some of our social workers have also, they can identify the students that they know who do not have transportation, and know the families that they too are willing to take some of the food to deliver. So we're definitely trying to reach as many of our school children as possible to not only give them the work that they need, but to also give them food. On the strategic plan, my understanding is that yes, it's not just all DOE people. There are other members who I can ask that Dr. Julie provide for you the list of the individuals, so then you will know who are part of that steering committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wonpat.
Madam Superintendent, does the closure of Tizen and Simon Sanchez going to affect their 180-day schedule?
So we spoke with the senator, as a matter of fact, on that particular day. And we decided too soon to do that. We can actually do that once we know where we're at, and because we're not at the end of the year where we say we need to ask for the waiver like we did for the typhoon. So we still have some time. However, this is what we also decided, is that because, yes, they're closed, at the same time, all of our teachers are working. They are on Google Classrooms. They are, working with the students. So therefore, it is still considered an instructional time for the students, unless, of course, that, there's just no way for them to provide any lessons, then that would mean then we would have to request for a waiver. But as of now, as of today, we don't.
So it just depends really on how long Cortec or even our people complete all these mitigation that on the demerits, and when public health passes the school.
Well, according to, we had an agreement, and at least with the Cortex side, we're looking at no more than 10 days, for them to do the work. We were informed by public health, because it is a closure, that when they go back in, it's zero. We're going to have to start at zero, just the way we did with FB Leon Rivera Middle School. And that's the reason why we are we did that clarification because we want to make sure that whatever the demerits are, we will definitely, address. And that conversation took place yesterday.
Have you, we have to start thinking out of the box, because if it's going to take more than 1 week, like you requested, it may take 2 weeks, it may take a month. Have we looked at trying to ask Cortec to work 24 hours while the school is closed?
Well,
24 hours
Oh, 24
to
hour
repair.
well,
Even our people, pay them overtime to work overtime.
Well, he did say that that if he has to mobilize 300 men, he said he will. And what he did is that he mobilized, I think, 125. So they're all, working at all the areas that they identified was their responsibilities. Our guys are working on what, we feel.
But it's still
is
just an
ours.
8-10 hour day, or are we trying to?
No, they're not, no. They're even we're working Saturdays and Sundays
Okay.
over the weekend.
I'm just saying to move up the repair so we can get the kids back in classrooms as soon as we can
Yes, we did.
would
We
be
did.
something we should look at.
We did stress the urgency because we feel that you cannot put a dollar price on the loss of instruction. And
Correct.
that's what the urgency is.
And then one more thing, you brought up there was a concern brought in by some, I don't know if it's teachers or staff, that because of the schedule that the board approved on opening and closing the school year, some of them were shorted 3-4 days of pay. Is
Now,
that something that the union looked at?
No, so because.
Yeah, I'm saying, were there complaints filed with you?
Yes, and my understanding, of course, and I heard that because even when I worked, I remember my first year when I worked, and they told me the same thing, is that we weren't going to be paid. I wasn't going to be paid like the first 2 weeks, going to be the next pay period, and then there's a catch up at the end of the year, so there will be no loss of salary or anything. It's just the distribution because of the start time and end time.
So they understand that, because some of them, the way they
Okay.
related to us is that they lost the pay
So we'll DFAS.
for the next 5 years.
So we want, no,
The schedule.
your schedule, the one that you agreed on?
You guys made a 5-year calendar that pushes the calendar back a couple days every year. So yes, you're gonna get these questions for the next 5 years.
But they get it at the end, is what you're saying.
Okay.
As long as,
Yes,
I mean,
so there will be no loss.
maybe
though,
you
in
should
terms
also,
of the
again,
salary.
relay
So
that to them.
We'll ask maybe for a DFAS to see if we can put out a, notice, and we'll send the letters out to the teachers and let everybody know.
Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes,
Thank you. Madam Chair, Madam Superintendent, would it be possible now, knowing that there is a possibility of the school not being able to open in 10 days, can we start being a little bit more proactive and think about how can we not depend too much on the asynchronous learning platform? I think first and foremost, I mean, I do feel for our Sanchez students, not just because it's my children there, but there are the concerns that they're being given packets. And the packets may not be sufficient for all the students to be able to understand what's going on and true learning to be taking place. So if possible, if we could start looking at what would be our plan B, our plan C, our plan D, and I'm not asking for it today, but as we are getting closer to the 10-day reinspection, can we have something in place so that it could actually be addressed quicker and that parents can be made informed, teachers can be informed, so that whatever transition is needed can be done a lot smoother? If I can just ask for that.
Yes, and that was actually discussed on Friday. You were present, Mr. Fedenko was present, and the two school principals at the very end after legal left. And there were so many options that were thrown out, and I'll just go ahead and share with you some of the suggestions. One of them that the principals said technically is that, and they have all the data, and one of them would be to redistrict all of the children and populate all of our high schools. And the numbers would be 1,900 students per high school if we did an island-wide redistricting of our high school. That was one option. The other, yeah, for all the high schools. The other option was to consider then as, let me see, what is the other option? I forgot. Oh, well, one is redistricting. The other would be, yes, go back to double session. And Mr. Fidenko, you mentioned one. Do you know what that was?
Well, keep going, you're doing it right. Look, he's right. Asynchronous doesn't work. Teachers don't want it, parents don't want it, right? And the way I'm reading this, they're lawyering up right now about who's responsible for who. Well, lawyers take a long time. So we need to see, you board members, us board members, if I include myself, need to look at when this is going to be done. We're hoping 10 days, right? That's as far as you really want to carry asynchronous learning. We know that there's not enough computers, because that was discussed, that they couldn't get them out for whatever reason, so that asynchronous is not being done to its COVID level. But you got to react and get kids in the schools. So as the superintendent explained, you can redistrict, put everybody into the schools, they all fit. You could do a double session, Tiedzin and GW was the one, right? And then it was Simon and Ukudu, right? Because FBL's gone from there. And it would bring them back up to the North District, right? And that were the only, or otherwise continuous I think the third option is to continue asynchronous learning.
And again, just to comment, I believe that in the discussion that we were originally looking at, and just the thoughts in going through it, is that some instruction will be lost with double sessions, although I think more learning will take place compared to asynchronous education. So I think, again, we're looking at our children as being the ones that are suffering right now. We got to think about how to get it so that they can transition quickly in the event that we are not able to reopen with the zero demerits come 10 days from, and I'm not sure how that works. Is it calendar day, weekday, or so on? Right? Because I mean, if it is 10 days, then we're looking at Monday of next week.
Yes, and the principal, suggested as well is that, we bring all, oh, you want to turn that off just in case, bring all the other high school principals, together to look at, the different options and present to the board.
Dr. Okada?
So there's a couple things we need to look at, because all of the schools are going to be coming up for inspection at some point. We need to take a look at all of the schools that have contracts under lease schools and do the matrix now. Don't wait for an issue to come up. Do the matrix now as to what is our responsibility and what is the landlord responsibility, and start working on those components. The second thing is, are any of these demerits things that we can request for a temporary variance so that we have more time to do it? The variants are issued for certain things, like, for example, and the walls and ceilings not in a flat surface. Okay, but that's not a health and safety issue. Can we get a variance on that temporarily to give us a little bit more time so that we're not constrained by this 10 days? Then we need to look at Southern, for example, because if Southern's issue is that we have not addressed the variances associated with the last inspection, is there something that we can do so that the variances are given a little bit more time? And if there's a funding issue, then we would expect, the board would expect, that if it is necessary, that that a spend plan is updated so that you are within the authority that the board has approved the budget. Because there were two spend plans that we did. One was for the 26 million that became 9 or 8 million, and then the other is the 52 million that is still looming out there that I know that we're using, but we need the spend plan to be updated. Now, it's unfortunate that when we had a windfall of money, that the focus was only on 12 schools instead of all 39, 40 schools. We couldn't control that. They were federal funds. It was done, presented to the board, but it wasn't under our authority to approve it. But we need to take a look at those two spend plans and tell us where we are today with those spend plans, what money do we have available, and then come up with a longer term plan. We got that that evaluation or assessment report 4-5 years ago from HFM, and it had a dollar figure of 200 plus million. Okay, so what has happened from them? And incrementally start prioritizing this based on the public health inspections. Prioritize that document and present it to the legislature on a recurring basis until we get caught up, because by the time you get caught up, we got to start all over again, because there's no way to fund all of it unless there's a funding mechanism to provide a cash infusion to repair all of the schools at some point. I mean, so these are all part of the strategy that we need to put in place so that we're not left hanging a week or 5 days out from making a determination as what is plan B. We need to start thinking now, if we can't open next week, what are we going to do to address learning loss? Somebody should be snapping it up now to address learning loss. And how are we going to pay for it? Or how are we going to provide the additional material? Don't wait until the end of the year and says, oh, we made the 180 days, but we still have instructional loss, and we're just going to go ask for a waiver. No, it's only August. Figure out what that makeup time is going to be now. You have time to plan it through now. So these are things that need to be, in my mind, what they call the continuity of operations plan for any infraction that may occur during the school year, that we provide some flexibility somewhere to do something. But you got to have it on our radar, because we're not thinking about it. But if you put the playbook together, then there should be no reason why we can't go to that as a reference point and update it when we need to extract from it. So this is all part of a planning process, but I think we need to start documenting again because remember, those schools that are currently on a lease, their lease expires, that lease agreement is up in 2027. What is it going to look like, and what repairs do we have to make, or what's going to happen? Don't just let time pass by. And then after the lease expires, it says, oh, but now we need to do A, B, and C. We need to get money for this. We need to have a plan all laid out. The other thing is, and I recognize that if the amendment exists in the current budget bill, it is dependent upon the governor signing the budget bill in order for us to execute what is necessary for Chief Brody. However, the request that was made was for 4 months. What happens after the 4 months? If it is longer than 4 months, and I can tell you, in 4 months, they're going to say, in the best interest of the students of the academic year, let's just wait till the end of the academic year. Don't bring that to us in January. Have that discussion before we move forward with it. And then secondly, if it is longer than the academic year, because there are other people looking for schools, what procurement process are we going to employ so that there is competitiveness in identifying the use of Chief Brody or any other facility? We're addressing it right now as an emergency, but we still have to follow a procurement process at some point.
Or do we need to use the space ourselves for Simon Sanchez and teach it?
It's an elementary school.
I know.
And we've actually visited at least one of them, and it's in a very bad shape.
But we also need
to
consider that because these things are occurring, things are happening on a recurring basis, that we always probably have one school or a backup space that we can default to, similar to what Tizen was supposed to be used for to begin with a long time ago. So we need to take a look at all of this again, Because the options you're providing are things that we should consider, but what do we do and how do we consider it long-term?
If we're gonna fix Tejan, then maybe it should be the backup school for all the renovations, or we can move a school to while their school's being renovated, one at a time. That's a possibility too. Because that's what it was at first.
Yeah, but,
For
I mean,
JFK
you're
and
right,
then
that, that was the original plan. But, after that, I mean, if we're gonna use it for a backup school, we can't keep that school open and the facility open and not be used. That's the only problem.
Dr. McNinch.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Just two quick points. I think long-term and short-term. In the long term, probably in the next several months, I think that the government in general should look at totally reorganizing education in general from all aspects. And there's quite a number of bits of that, including all of these space and facility issues. It's not just a GDOE issue, it's an issue for a lot of other systems. The second thing is there may be space at UOG for at least temporary spacing, and I think that we should exercise the Joint Education Board 17 GCA 16A discussion and see if there's available spaces that we can at
I
least
don't see a space there.
in the short term. Well, I'm just saying in the short term, ask them, because there might be spaces that we don't know about or particular flexibilities we don't know about. My point is our education systems don't work very well together, and I think we can certainly do better at that. Thank you.
Well, right now, we have some very good points that were brought up today, everyone. Not easy, but we have to move forward. And so the plan, as I understand it right now, is the attorneys are meeting when? Tomorrow morning. And I did suggest that we should probably have the Attorney General also involved at this point, because frankly, I was quite shocked at the meeting. I think you left, right, Angel?
I had to.
When we found out that there's a nonprofit that took over the contract from Cortec called Phoenix something, I don't know, Phoenix. And apparently they're the contractee with the government of Guam. And this was done 6 years ago. Apparently, that's what Mr. Ho said during the meeting. And we were all very shocked by that. He did say that his company receives, was it $40,000 a month to maintain Tejan? Something like that, from the nonprofit. And he's losing money doing it, he said. But that's where it ended. But we were all shocked because no one knew of that nonprofit taking over the Cortec control of the lease. And of course, the question is, where does that leave us then? Because what he said was, we really are not responsible for maintaining Tejan anymore. It was turned over to a nonprofit 6 years ago. That's what he said. Am I right?
Yes.
And so that's when we said the attorneys have to meet here now and figure this out.
And the contracts.
Well, possibly, but then Dr. Wontat was searching for the contract, this new contract. Did we actually get the new contract, Judy?
The only amendment that I received from Gita is the change from Cortec to Phoenix, but the original contract hasn't changed. So yes, and so the question was asked, as a matter of fact, whether, because it was first signed by the governor, the previous governor, and whether the governor herself and her people should be in this meeting. But the response has been that by law, the Organic Act, and by the local law, is that it's the government's responsibility, so it was pushed back to the legislature.
I don't know, this is all kind of funny to
Madam
me.
Chair.
I don't like what I'm hearing.
Madam Chair.
Yes?
When DOE moved up here from
Again, yeah. I was a board member. The contract was not with DOE. The contract was not even shown to the board because it's with the administration.
The government of Guam.
So we didn't see anything in that contract other than one meeting, we were given a copy of a MOU between GACS and the board to sign. And as a chair there, I refused because we have nothing to do with the facility that, GACS was occupying. But as far as the board, on my recollection, is we have never been provided a copy of the contract. If that contract is strictly with the administration or GIDA, and that's it.
Well, the reason the reason I bring this up is because the legal meeting, of course, we have one of our attorneys here, which is great. I have to see Mr. Moylan there. I'm not going to be at that meeting, but I think Mr. Moylan should be there to protect the interests of the people of Guam. Whatever change occurred, how does that affect DOE, the tax dollars of the people of Guam? And was this registered with revenue taxation, this nonprofit for this purpose? Was it registered? I looked for the names. I didn't see any name. I looked at the nonprofit list with revenue tax. It's not there.
I think
it's not there.
There is that Phoenix.
So what is this Can you do that without registering the nonprofit? I don't know, but something's not right.
Just one more thing. I mean, I know we're all trying to think about options. She mentioned redistricting, mentioned double sessions again. Oh God, awful word. And you've met with the military. Is it Codell?
Yes.
Yeah, it was for
education. I'm going to use Trump's word, big, beautiful bill. I'm going to add ding behind it. Big, beautiful building that's sitting right there on Camp Bloss Street for the Marines, and we never are going to know when they're going to occupy that.
The Army's using it now.
Not the entire place. I mean, maybe there's an outside chance that they would allow us to use part of it to house Simon Sanchez until we get that building done. Yeah. It's not going to hurt to ask, since you're already asking and giving options. Maybe the governor or to ask that if they're not coming here till 2030 or whatever year they're coming, they've always kept extending, and they keep building, and building. Allow us to use it if we can. If they're really for the children of Guam, why not? Now, I'm just putting it out there that maybe that's an option that we can put on the table.
So we can ask the superintendent to draft a resolution from the board to the admiral making the request.
We don't even have to wait for a resolution. We can ask the superintendent to make that letter now.
She can call up, but we can follow it up with a resolution.
Oh, okay. Just following Angel's thought, maybe what we can do is talk. Talk to them first, one-to-one.
Yeah, talk to them.
And then just tell them we're just waiting for Simon Sanchez to be completed and occupied. Yeah. And we're out of there. You just got to tell them a time frame. They might, you never know, they might accept that.
Or they may have another facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the kids that are here at Sanchez, they're probably going to say, again? But they're going to say, thank God.
We'll try.
It's a solution.
Okay, one more time, okay. Uh-huh.
Since you and the superintendent went to this conference or round table or whatever, then why don't you reach out? Yeah, Camp Bloss is loaded with buildings. Their construction is going on every day. Why not? Because I stay right across that.
Well, in
So that's now you should go now reach out to them. The one that you guys met, the other, reach out to them and ask them.
we can ask, just so everyone understands, that hearing, we only learned about it a couple days in advance, and we were asked to participate. My testimony was very general, and basically what I focused on was the importance of our educational institutions to the military mission on Guam, including the Indo-Pacific strategy. And then I further explained, and then I said, so we need you to support our educational institutions. We're producing professionals at the higher level, the university and Guam Community College, and we want you to hire them instead of bringing people from off island if you don't need them from off island. We want you to support our public school system. And then I talked about that a little bit. So I was really trying to leverage the military buildup to get their attention for public education on Guam by all three areas, GDOE, GCC, and UOG. And they were very interested in that. This was the Education Committee of the House of Representatives. The chairperson of the committee chaired the hearing. It was only for 1 hour, very short. And they had the representatives from the university, GCC, and the GDOE through Dr. Wampat and myself. Dr. Wampat also brought up during the hearing, which was very good, and she emphasized the military's motto for the military buildup: one island, one people. And she used that as the basis of challenging them to please reconsider segregated schools on Guam, where our military dependents are brought to on-base schools and our children go to our public schools. We should have one school system, one island, one people, one school system. That got their attention. I also brought up at the end the citizenship issue. And I asked them, please, don't question the citizenship of the people on Guam or any other territories. It's very insulting and it's very hurtful. Every time anyone in Washington, whether it's the president or a member of Congress, introduces a bill or does an executive order that focuses on the territories and the Commonwealth of the United States, you are hurting us. And I said, the people of Guam have proven their patriotism to the United States since 1898. How much more do you need? I really spoke that way at the hearing. And that got a lot of attention. Actually, people clapped, right, Judy? It was very moving. They didn't know about this. They didn't really understand this because they don't know our history and they don't know all of that. But so we used it as an educational moment also in that regard. I think one island, one people, then let's have one school system. Don't challenge our citizenship. It's not right and it's hurtful, very hurtful.
And I'd like to add that yes, I used the very concept about the build-up, but I told them that DOE schools, the request for hardening of all of our schools, improving all of the infrastructure of our schools, because Guam is at the tip of the spear and that one, Guam DOE schools are designated as bomb shelters.
That's right.
And two, DOE schools are also designated as emergency shelters for the typhoons.
Yeah.
And that then was justification, for hardening, requesting for the hardening, for funds to harden our schools, to build up our schools, strengthen our schools if we're going to be bomb shelters and emergency
And our
shelters.
power system, we did the same thing. Yeah. No, she was right. That was very good because they didn't know that we didn't have civil defense protection in the civilian community. They weren't aware of that. And that's the role of our schools, but we don't have the facilities. If we're going to be the tip of the spear, then we should have some protection for the civilian community. And that is normally done through our school facilities in emergencies, whether it's war or typhoon or earthquake or anything else.
Okay, Judy.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Judy,
Yes.
let's go into executive session.
Now,
Yes,
before
well,
we go into executive session,
Do we
I'd like to
need
get
to go
back to
into
the agenda.
executive session?
Before you go into, it seems like everyone's packing up here and you're gonna go into executive session. And I'll be leaving you for that because I'm
Okay.
a non-voting member.
Yeah.
Can I just get a point of clarification? So we, like Dr. Okada said, Plan A, Plan B, Mr. Sablan, same thing. What's gonna happen, what's gonna happen? Now, and I believe the parent rep is also concerned about asynchronous learning.
Yes.
2-week deadline, then we switch? Do we go to Plan A? Do we go to Plan B? Do we redistrict? Do we double session? And here's the whole question. Does the super have the power to do that, or will she be admonished if she does something like that? Does the board need to act on that?
Yes.
And if the board needs to act on that, I suggest you hold an emergency meeting in 2 weeks and declare now
Yes.
so you can have
Ms.
that
Gutierrez
action.
suggested
Or
that.
a month, or whatever you want to have your asynchronous learning. I defer to the parent rep to pick a timeline, but since it affects 2 of his kids, and it's great that we're all working here together and you're protecting the island, but let's get to and then ask the lawyers,
Why
how
don't-
long is it gonna be a lawyer up? Because they're lawyering up right now.
Yeah.
And just to get that punch list might take a month. So then do we just ignore that? Do we put the man facility?
I think we need
DFS
a,
want this, maintenance guys. Should he be wasting his time with that building? Should he not be wasting his time with that building? Let's get, if you're in charge of this, then please be in charge.
I think we need to meet again within 10 days. We should have an idea as to where we are, and with a plan B or C as well. So
Madam Chair, we need to meet because not all
It's on. It's on there.
Not all schools, I'm telling you, 100% ready. Because they don't have the staff that they need. They don't have the teachers. So that does not mean that they're ready. We are not. We are not ready. So we need to have that update. How many more teachers have not been hired? How many more schools are still waiting for their vacancies? So that does not say that we are ready. We're only half ready. And
All right.
it's true. What is the plan A, B, C?
all right, so that's our agreement. All right, how much time do we need, Dr. Wampat, before we meet again?
According to Kat, she said that she can submit an ad by this Thursday, which is August 20th, so for us to meet on September 1st.
If it's an emergency, it can happen sooner than that. So right now, it's 10 days, right? Anticipate. Even if you were to have an emergency meeting next week, you're already beyond the 10 days that we discussed. So we need to have a meeting next week. Because right? Next week, Monday, would be the anticipated 10 days. And so we should know by next week
Where we're
or
at.
by this Friday, what are they going to do Monday? Or we meet Monday and then, you know, but I think we need to do an emergency.
Yeah, we do. Especially since I'm just reading in KUAM that our famous attorney Sommerfleck has already filed a claim with you about a student, Simon Sanchez, not being given his what he needs as a special ed student. And so, please, we can't wait over 30 days, not like the last time we were sued. We didn't respond, so we had to go to court. We need to respond to this claim ASAP.
How about a little earlier on Monday? Can we meet a little earlier on Monday?
8 o'clock.
Okay. Yes, Ron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think because this is an ongoing and continued discussion that was part of the agenda, we could probably just continue this meeting.
Just recess.
Recess and then come back. That we can
That
get
would
around.
even be better.
That's right. So that would be my collegial
I
suggestion.
think that's a good
Thank you.
idea. Let's recess till Monday. How about at 1 o'clock?
Fine.
1 o'clock Monday.
As long as we get the documents this weekend.
Is that okay? Monday, 1 o'clock, everybody? And can we have a plan B also?
Yeah, so I'll call for a meeting with our principals tomorrow.
Okay.
I know that every day we're getting an update on the status of Tejan and Simon Sanchez. So what I'll do is I would let you know then. I'll put it through the chat to keep you updated.
Okay. So shall we recess?
Yes.
And let's please set the date and time to re-adjourn openly
Okay,
as
so,
part of the recess point.
Recess. Is that the right word, recess?
Yes.
Okay.
Not adjourn, recess.
Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting will recess until Monday at 1 p.m. To continue our review of current status of Simon Sanchez, Tejan, and other
That are on the
facilities
agenda.
that are on the agenda. Yes,
August 24th.
August 24th, Monday,
Happy
1
birthday.
p.m. On the motion to recess? All those in favor? Any objection? Motion passes.